Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, the show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 20 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show. My name is Jonathan Leung, and joining me as always is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Peterson. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Now, we teased something,
right?
I think just yesterday, right?
Yes.
I mean, literally breaking news here.
Right.
That you were going to have an announcement during the show tonight that was going to change basically the future of arcade repair tips.
Yeah, to an extent.
Extent.
Right. It's going to open up some new doors for us for sure. So.
Okay. Well, there you go. So, well, Tim, real quick, we do want to say hi to everybody who's in the live chat and watching the show right now. We want to thank you guys again for watching. And if you have any questions, make sure that you leave them in the live chat tonight. We'll be interacting with you that way. Or comments or anything else. We will be talking about some Arcade 1-Up stuff tonight, Tim. We'll be talking about some questions that we received from you guys. And we'll be talking about some recent news regarding apparently a guy who trained his toddler to steal prizes out of a redemption machine.
I saw that.
So I'm going to scoot over a little bit here. But anyway, so guys, that's what we've got on the docket for tonight. And we're so glad that you could join us here. So, Tim, I guess we should go ahead and move into your big announcement here. So, what is the announcement that is going to impact the future of Arcade Repair Tips?
Well, I couldn't announce till it was official, and that's why the teaser didn't go out till yesterday.
Sure.
But after 17 years, I have turned in my resignation with Chuck E. Cheese.
Wow, 17 years with Chuck E. Cheese. That is amazing. Tim, I have never stayed anywhere 5 years. So 17 years is a long time.
I always tell people Chuck E. Cheese years are like dog years, too. You should get 7 for every 1 year.
So you're at 490 at this point, or whatever it is. Now, I can't do math, obviously, but, you know.
Yeah, like 80-something years,
right.
on a job. So,
you are no longer going to be a technician at Chuck E. Cheese.
No, in fact, I'm not going to be a technician at all, per se. I'll definitely have my hand in games and stuff, but the announcement that we wanted to make, I have accepted the general manager position at a brand new Mr. Gatti's, which is a pizza and a family entertainment center here that they're just building. It's going to be brand new, and I'm going to run the operation side, which includes games, of course, but a lot more than that, and I'm really looking forward to it being open. For those of you who don't know about Mr. Gatti's, it's kind of more of a older kids, a lot of teenagers and young adults, a lot of games kind of like you might see at Dave & Buster's, and their pizza is really good. So it's a buffet all the time, and so I got to learn how to make pizzas better.
There you go. There you go.
I'm gonna go.
Somebody in the chat already said, Thomas says, congrats, Tim.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. So 17 years with Chuck E. Cheese comes to an end. Now, you turn in your 2-week, I assume?
Yeah, I'll still be there for a couple more weeks. I'm training a guy, and I want to get him signed off. And I leave on really good terms, no problems, just time for me to move on. And, just an opportunity came up that I couldn't pass up. And so, I still have some connections there, still a lot of friends there. Some of you watching probably still work there. And so, I'll be in touch with those guys. And after you stay 17 years somewhere, you kind of get in a mold and how to do things. I could probably do it in my sleep, but now I've got a whole new job to go to and different challenges and different things, so I'm really looking forward to it, though.
So for those who are just joining us, Tim, it looks like we've had quite a few viewers join within like the last minute or here.
Okay.
Tim has officially retired from Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes,
but not from working.
But not from working. Yeah,
That's right.
That might be a good way to say it. I didn't want to say like I quit the job. I just have retired that era of my life, although it will always be an important part of who I am. And I'm moving on to a different venue. I'm going to oversee a Mr. Gatti's Pizza. If you've been there before, I hope you've had good experiences. If not, come to ours. We're definitely going to give you a great experience. And I would like, and we'll go through in a minute, John, and talk about some of the really cool games. I wouldn't have taken the job unless the owner would have been serious about games and having a big time attraction, and he wowed me with some of the games that he purchased so that we can really have a premier place here to go in our town.
Now, somebody said, well, you need a new host for the show if you're not going to be a tech anymore.
Well, we that's the thing that the Arcade Repair Tips may change. We may do some it is a it's a franchise location, which we can do a few things. Maybe we'll do some on-screen. Maybe I might
some
be
on-site repair.
Yeah, I might be working all the time, but maybe we can do it up there. But no, we plan on still doing the live shows. Just the only thing that may change is we will have some different games to work on, and maybe some a fun venue to do some shootings and stuff
and access Tim to newer games, because one of the things with Chuck E. Cheese is that obviously they didn't feel comfortable with us filming stuff being on our channel. I understand that because they're corporate and everything, but with this, having the opportunity to maybe show you guys some newer repairs on some of the games that Tim has in his game room and Mr. Gaze, I think is going to be a great thing for us. So Now, Tim, I found the location press release on Mr. Guy's website, so I want to show that to everybody here real quick. But here it is, and there's the link for it. The new Mr. Guy's location will serve as a center for family entertainment. In addition to the traditional Mr. Guy's Pizza Buffet and other menu favorites, the new restaurant will feature a family entertainment center with 50-plus games.
Right.
Okay, so there you go. There will also be separate rooms for private events and birthday parties. I grew up going to Mr. Gay's in my hometown, and now I want a safe, fun place for my own children to hang out, says franchisee Lamar Waddell. So there you go. Now, I assume Lamar, Tim, is somebody that you've interacted with at this point, considering, I guess, you're working for him now?
That's the boss.
Okay,
so,
there you go.
If you're watching, no, Lamar's a great guy and is very passionate about making it a premier place, and I'm glad to be a part of his team.
Okay, I see some stuff here. Ozzy says, rarest arcade you saw at Chuck E. Cheese, and you're 17 years there, Tim.
Oh, wow. Rarest arcade. That's a good question. I may think on that. I can remember some of the games that when I first started, I'd never seen before. We have one called Magic Mr. X, a game called Loose Change. I haven't seen those in a while. There was some kind of rocket ship we used to have. A lot of Chucky specific games. That's a great question. I'll think on it, and I'll probably in a minute it'll hit me. I'll be like, oh yeah, that one game was really strange. We had one, and I've never seen it anywhere else. You remember it had the things where you slide?
Panic Park.
Okay. We had a Panic Park, and you don't see that game very often. It was actually a different version of it. Was
Panic
that's right,
Park. The white one. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it was white, kind of space age, futuristic.
That didn't make any money. I remember that.
It was, and it had the dumbest name. It was called like the Awesome or something.
Something like that.
That was the game.
Yeah,
I was like, why did I get this thing? And anyway, you couldn't get parts for it. It was horrible, but
it didn't make any money.
It did not make any money. It was like called the Awesome or something. I was like, okay, it looked cool, but it was not very fun to play.
Right.
That may be probably the strangest game I've ever seen.
Okay. Thomas says, I volunteer to host if I can get that Galaga behind you. Sorry, Galaga's not for sale, and Tim will continue to do the hosting duties here. Let's see. Michael says, I ran several of the Mr. Gaddies in Austin and opened several Gaddy towns. Congratulations. That's what brought me to Houston 17 years ago and opened 5 here with my friends. So we actually have a franchisee here in the thing here with us, Tim. Michael.
Awesome. Michael, we need to talk.
That's right.
We definitely need to talk because we're...
Tim at arcaderepairtips.com.
Lamar is the first time he's ever owned any business like that, although he's run some businesses before. This is his first Mr. Gaddy's and the first time I've ever managed one. So maybe I'll even be training down. Maybe I'll request, Michael, maybe I can come to your store for training. That would be great.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if he's still in Mr. Gaddy's because he says I ran, as in like past tense, I guess.
Oh, okay.
We'll see if he is. But if he is, Michael, let us know. John has a great question here. What will you miss most about Chuck E. Cheese?
I guess I like... we won't have a show.
Right. When you mean show, like you
an animated
animatronics, right?
Animatronics. And I like to work on that, and I always enjoyed the animatronics part of it.
Right.
So we won't have that. I'll miss some of the people that I worked with. Guys, I got to travel to California. Some of that I'll probably really miss, but mostly the people, some of the guys that taught me a lot about arcade games and how to fix stuff and just general repair. Some of my mentors, that's probably what I'll miss the most.
Okay.
Not the pizza.
Oh, and Thomas says, seriously, though, best of luck to you, Tim.
Oh,
So
thank
the
you.
guy, he's not taking the Galaga at this point.
Okay,
so.
thank you,
Well, if you guys
Thomas.
have any other questions for Tim as he reflects on his time at Chuck E. Cheese, the 17 years that you've been at Chuck E. Cheese. But Tim, you know what I really want to know about?
Yeah,
I want to
the
know
new
about
games.
the 50-plus games that are going to be in the new game room. That's what I want to know about. So, Tim, why don't you give us a little rundown of some of the games that are going to be in the new game room? Because I see here you brought a list with you.
Yeah, and a lot of them are games that you might find. Not very many of them. I mean, there are hardly any of these games in Tyler, but there's a few I think that we want to kind of highlight that I think are big attractions or that might interest our audience more than anything. If you want to go ahead and slow that slide, John. One of the first ones is, and you hadn't even seen it before.
No, I had not.
It's Connect 4 Hoops. So basically you and your friend play and you shoot hoops, and where you land is how it scores, and you try to connect 4.
Sure.
So that's kind of a different version of just a basketball game, but and a Connect 4.
Right.
So it kind of combines. The biggest attraction, and probably one of the most expensive games, is that 4-player Halo that you see there. I think ours even has more of a dome-like thing
Right.
where you get inside of it. I'm not sure.
The deluxe model.
To be honest, we haven't had the games delivered yet. I just have the list. So,
Sure.
But I think we have the deluxe model. And then, of course, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Everybody, I'm sure, in our audience is a fan. I think that's going to be a cool game. You got another slide, John?
I do, but what else do you have just on the list? Just kind of, pick.
I'll just go through some
I was about to say,
stuff.
just pick
The
some
general
stuff
stuff like Big Bass Wheel.
See it everywhere.
There's a Quick Drop, which I really like to play that game. A Grand Piano Keys. Have you ever seen one of those?
I have not.
It's kind of like Guitar Hero, except it's a big piano, and you're hitting the keys as they come down, and it plays songs.
Gotcha.
I think some people will really like that. A lot of games like Tower of Tickets. There's a game called Iceman. It's a water game. It's kind of different video screen, but you're shooting. It looks like you're shooting water. I don't know if that's real water or not. Maybe somebody could help me with that. A game called Let's Bounce, which we have a new game by LAI Games, which our friend Dave works at.
That's right.
And that's one of their most popular games. You take a ping pong ball, and it's got a layer of tiles, and as you throw it on there, the tiles light up, and you get points for kind of bouncing it around there.
Cool.
There's a lot of coin pushers, stuff like that. Just the typical money makers. There's a game called Firestorm. Guys, we couldn't even find hardly anything on this ourselves. No, it's some kind of like Marvel-looking fighting game.
Okay.
So if any of you guys have played Firestorm or know what that's about, I would like to know that. 2 Cruising Blast, we've talked
Same
about.
thing you have at Chuck E. Cheese.
We've talked about that before. The Walking Dead. We got a Walking Dead.
Environmental.
Environmental,
Right.
that you set down. An environmental Jurassic Park.
Nice.
It's a little different than the movement one, but it's
Right.
bigger. A lot of big games like that. We got the really big crane, it looks like a room.
Right.
Where your kid can go in there and then you can pick them up and tote them around. Anyway, those are some of the
The big one. That's what it's called. That big crane's called.
Yeah,
the big
one. There it is. The big one right there. Let's see. I'm just looking.
Oh, here, I got some more
Couple
pictures.
of whack.
I was about to say I have some of the other ones that you told me about. So here we go, right here.
Now, that's actually that is the wrong picture, John. I'll have to show you that faceplate.
I just looked up faceplate. So that's what came up.
It is like that, except for it is bigger, and you actually, a whole group can stand inside of it, and it's got all these cool LEDs and stuff. The Rabbits of Hollywood.
Yeah, the Rabbits Hollywood, right?
Rabbits Hollywood is just, kind of a fun game. You got 4 players, shoot 'em up. And then everybody knows by now probably the Space Invader Frenzy. Those are all games I think that will probably really interest the people here. And of course we got our share of basketball games and Down the Clown, Ring Toss, some of those like that. So a really good selection. Of course, if you're ever in East Texas, you guys need to come by and see us. So because we're gonna have a lot of fun games, and I think
now, are you guys gonna be using tokens or what's the deal with that?
we're going with a pass card, like most companies are now, like we've debated and we've
Right.
talked about.
Sure.
We're going ticketless. So you'll swipe your card, the tickets will add on there. It does kind of have a little animation, I think, that if you win a big bonus or something and you see the tickets adding up on your card, we'll have probably a bigger prize selection with some better, more adult kind of prizes and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we got some questions here, Tim. Michael did leave his email address, so I'll get that to you.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
There you go. Gohara says that Halo game looks super cool. Everything we've heard about Halo, what is it? What's the name of it? Halo, Fireteam, Raven, everything we've heard about it is good.
Yeah.
So I've only heard good things about it. I haven't got to play it yet, so it'll be fun. Let's see. It looks like Danny says, I've always loved the Guitar Hero.
Fireteam Raven.
Yes, there you go. And then Michael says, what size square foot is your store?
You know, it's about 14,000 square feet. To give you guys an idea, the Chuck E. Cheese I'm at is 15,000 square feet. It's not a huge place, and it's kind of built long and straight, and everything, the kitchen and everything's in the center, and the game room and the seating and everything goes around it.
Right.
And the party rooms are right when you come in. There are rooms where you go in. So if you have a birthday party, you get some special things in a little bit quieter area all by yourself.
Nice, nice. So there you go. So, Tim, it sounds like you're going to have a great game package there at Mr. Gaddy's. Want to wish you the best of luck in your new job. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Man, 17 years.
And
man,
as
that's a long
soon as
time.
we can, we'll take a lot of pictures. And again, we're excited. I know I'm going to be working a lot, but it won't all be
Right.
work. I'll be doing some game testing. I'm sure I'll have my hand in the repairs and so forth. But it'll be a good move for me and my family, and hopefully good for our community.
Absolutely. So, guys, again, just want to congratulate Tim on his 17 years of service to Chuck E. Cheese and his new job at Mr. Gaddy's Pizza. Now, Tim, a lot of people who aren't familiar with Mr. Gaddy's, of course, like you mentioned, is more of a family entertainment center.
Yes.
They also have Gaddy Town, which is another off-brand
Right.
of Mr. Gaddy's, and a couple of other different brands. But Mr. Gaddy's Pizza is way better than Chuck E. Cheese, in my personal opinion. And I
Okay.
think most people would say that. So you definitely upgraded pizza-wise.
Well, they take a lot of pride in their sauce. Is what everybody talks about, and evidently they make this cheeseburger pizza that everybody just goes crazy over. So, you like I said, a little bit. We're not like we're trying to put Chuck E. Cheese out of business. They were just catering to a different audience.
Right, and you can tell by the game list that you mentioned, Tim.
Yeah.
A lot of these are old like games for older people.
Right,
Older,
games like we want to play.
Or
right?
like teenagers want to play.
Right.
It seems like whereas Chuck E. Cheese cares to more the kid audience, maybe you guys are trying to get that like tween, teen, and kind of older audience.
I think so.
So there you go. So, okay, let's see what else we got here. Somebody said better pizza. We talked about that. Couple of congratulations there, Tim.
Thank y'all.
And Zachary says, any classic games will be at your Mr. Gaddy's?
Well, the only one that he really wanted, the Pac-Man Galaga, world's biggest Pac-Man combo.
Yes.
And so we settled on, I guess, the availability at the time. He settled on the Space Invader Frenzy.
Sure.
That's the only classic game now. But we have talked about maybe having some classic games, maybe a little section or something. That's going to be a little bit more down the road, but, we're going to have some things like that for the adults. I'm sure that will happen.
Now, one thing we talked about, Tim, and this is a big change for here, is that you guys are going to be serving alcohol.
Yes.
Which Chuck E. Cheese here does not.
Right. It'll be a limited, you can get a beer or some wine with it. And so that's probably foreign to a lot of you guys, because even the Chuck E. Cheese in most towns do, but here in our town they have never done it. And so yeah, it'll be a little bit different place where people, and we'll have sports and stuff on the screens and things where you can go watch a football game, play some games, and have a beer and pizza with your friends.
There you go. So let's see. Oh, Michael says no mozzarella, and Mr. Gaddy's is all smoked provolone. That's why it tastes different.
Yeah.
So there
it
you
does.
go.
I've heard that is
Okay.
so much better.
And that's from Michael, the guy who used to
Yeah,
work.
he would know.
There you go.
Thank you, Michael.
So there we go, guys. Well, again, congratulations to you, Tim, on your
Thank
new
you.
position. So we look forward to hearing more about it as you move into it. You're going to be at Chuck E. Cheese, though, for a couple more weeks.
Yeah, I'll be there a couple more weeks.
But that means
and
by the
wind it
time we
down.
have the next live show, that
I'll be
you'll be at Mr. Gaddy's.
Right, I'll be at Mr. Gaddy's, and hopefully maybe we can even do some shots from there, because we will be about ready to open.
Sorry, guys, we're having some yard men here are doing the yard. So,
Yeah.
and there we go. We're
Got to
having a
get you
little
lawn mowed here in Texas. So,
Exactly.
Sorry.
So let's see. Are the newer games harder to work on compared to the classics?
Every game presents.
And that's from Danny, by the way.
Every game presents its own set of challenge. It depends on how much mechanical parts there are.
Right.
I will say that. And then I always tell people it's kind of like if you go buy 50 cars tomorrow, go to any car lot, any brand, any one of those cars will never give you any problems and you'll hardly do any repairs to it. One won't make it a week and it'll be in the shop. It's just kind of the way it is. When you buy that many, hopefully you get the best choice or the coolest stuff. And I think that most of ours will be pretty easy to work on. They have bigger problems, though.
Right.
They're a little bit easier to fix, but sometimes it's like when the computer goes out, you just have to get another PC really quick. Or instead of a 19 or 25-inch monitor going out, you got a 60-inch LCD that just went out. So the cost of repairs can get really expensive, but if you have less repairs, still the overall cost should be, and these guys will be, since they're all brand new, will be under warranty for a while.
Exactly.
And a shout out because we are buying all of our games through Betson. If you guys aren't familiar with Betson, and they're going to do all the setup and everything for us, and that's a real big deal if you don't know, especially in a new place.
Now Zachary says, is it Mr. Gaddy's or Gaddytown? It is Mr. Gaddy's.
It's a right? Mr. Gaddy's. The difference that I'm aware of, and Michael can chip in here, most Gaddy towns have a feature attraction like bumper cars or something that are a little bit bigger. Ours is a smaller one. We are concentrating more on the games and the pizza.
Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Any pinballs? And that's from Ozzy.
No pinballs yet, but remember, I just got hired yesterday.
Okay.
And that is one thing I want to push, and I want to show him some footage. I would very much, I think there's going to be a pinball in the future.
There you
go.
It
may be under Tim Peterson licensing or unlimited or something, you know. Might have to sub that one out. But
Sublease.
I do think that that will be a possibility. At least I'll have a big vote in it.
Okay,
I will
Zachary,
get a pinball.
Zachary says, are you going to have a Crazy Town? Apparently that's his favorite ticket game.
I don't see Crazy Town on the list, but by all means, if you have any recommendations, this is a great thing, guys, about having a franchise. Like at Chuck E. Cheese, they only trade games about every 2 years. If you've ever noticed, you go to the same Chuck E. Cheese, then all of a sudden they get all these new games, and all they really do is trade a lot with other stores, and they might buy a few new pieces. That's not how we're going to operate. And we may get a new game every 6 months or every year. Depending on profits, you know, we're going to try to have some of the latest, greatest stuff. So by all means, those that are hot and recommended, I probably will try to go to like the what is it, AAMF conference? Or, you know, I've never been, so
AAMA.
Yeah, AAMA.
The American Amusement Machine Association.
Yeah, I'd like to go to some of the stuff and see the new stuff. So it's going to be really exciting to have that opportunity and a lot of say-so in what we do get versus what we don't get. And I definitely, thanks for saying that.
Oh, Crazy Tower. Excuse me. Crazy Tower. I said Crazy Town. Crazy Tower. Sorry, Zachary.
We got a tower of tickets. I don't know what that tower of tickets, so.
RST3, is Betson assembling your games, or are you and your crew assembling them?
No, they are actually going to assemble and set them up. They're also going to provide a tech, and evidently they do this. I'm not releasing any information my boss wouldn't want to tell nobody. Sure. I think this is part of when you buy your games from them, they will come and assemble them, set them all up, which is a big, well, I've got other stuff to do. I can do it, and I have done it. But
yeah, you're no longer a tech, you're a general manager.
Exactly, and that's where I have to separate myself and let them do this. I'll check and inspect it really good, you know, make sure everything's working right. But what's really cool is the first 3 or 4 days that we're open, they're actually going to keep a couple guys in town and make sure that everything goes good, and that, you know, when you have computer systems and stuff with the card swipe thing, and it's also a card swipe made by Embed, if you guys are familiar, than the Simnox tap version that we use at Chuck E. Cheese currently. So I'll have to get used to that card reader type system, but personally I do seem to like it better. It seems to work better.
Jason says congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Jason.
Zachary says awesome about Betson, very convenient. And Zachary says hopefully we can visit sometime, would be great. So there you go.
Well,
come on by, right?
Right. Friends of Arcade Repair Tips are always welcome,
welcome.
and always got some free pizza and games waiting on you. So
There you go.
come on down.
So I'm going to leave the rest of the questions, Tim. If you guys have more questions about Tim and Mr. Gaddy's and Chuck E. Cheese, please let us know as we continue through the show. But Tim, we're going to go on to the repair questions.
Okay.
But first, I do have one thing that I want to talk
one
about.
announcement?
We have been covering a lot about Arcade 1-Up, right?
Right.
And so I did want to cover that they are available now, Tim, in stores. And I was able to snap these pictures when I was in there, and you can see the $2.99 price tag. Tim, these things are stacked up like you would stack TVs.
Yeah, they kind of look like TV boxes.
Yeah, if you look at the second and the last photo here, you'll notice that that's a TV box next to it.
Right.
It's a little bit smaller than a 40-inch TV box.
Okay.
So I mean, just to give you an idea, but
and I'm wondering, without that put together, let's say we had never heard of Arcade 1-Up, or we never even owned an arcade game. Would we walk into Walmart and go, wow, I mean, we would catch our attention, but I wonder if not being put together affects sales. I don't know.
I think there's going to be a lot of people, Tim, that are going to buy these things right off the shelves like this and put it together. I mean, it's like a piece of IKEA furniture. So.
Evidently, it's not that hard to put together from what I've heard. So
right. So let me talk.
We haven't got ours in yet.
Let's talk a little bit. Yeah, we haven't gotten ours in yet. We have the 12-in-1, Tim, that's actually coming. But let's talk a little bit about some of the problems people have been having, because people have been having problems with them. Apparently, the control panel art has been wearing over time.
Wow.
And so people have been trying to do clear coat on it in order to protect that.
Okay, so
people are complaining about the spinner, just like you mentioned in your reviews. There's been a lot of complaints about spinners, but there's also been a lot of complaints about damaged wood in the kits, and some of the controls not working or breaking, like joysticks, buttons, trackballs especially, it seems like. But the people who get the full kits that fully work, Tim, apparently the spinner is one thing that people have been complaining about for every reason. So you nailed that pretty well.
They didn't consult with me. I tried to tell them. But.
So they probably already shipped them out. Yeah. But Tim, there's been a lot of people who have ordered these things, put them together, and they're very happy with them at this point. So I mean, it's kind of a hit, maybe hit or miss right now, but I think eventually they'll kind of iron out all those manufacturing.
And we can't wait till yours comes in, and we're going to take it and put it together and film all that, and so we'll show a little bit of more details,
do all that kind of stuff. That's right, exactly.
We'll have some fun with it.
Right now, and I also wanted to mention, Tim, that I noticed when we were in some of these Arcade 1-Up groups that people were having a hard time naming the parts. So a lot of people were calling like the control panel the control deck.
Yeah.
Okay, which is fine, but it makes me think of like the NES. They used to call that the control deck, right?
And that makes me think of Star Trek or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So what we did was we put together just a simple post, Tim, that's very much like our parts of an arcade cabinet, but we called it parts of an Arcade 1-Up cabinet. And Tim, I'm just going to show this slide here. But we noticed again that some people were having problems, identifying the parts who purchased Arcade 1-Up cabinets. And so what we did is we took our original post on our parts of an arcade cabinet, we updated it with the 1-Up cabinets, so that way you guys could see. Hopefully it'll help you better communicate the parts of the cabinet you're working with to others.
Yeah, of course our guys know this.
Exactly. So if you've been watching us a long time, you know all this. But there's a lot of people, Tim, that don't realize that it's called a marquee at the top. They're calling it the top artwork or whatever. The bezel, I've heard like a million different things for bezel. And people are just like, what's that rubber stuff that goes around the edge of the cabinet? Yeah. They don't realize it's T-molding.
This might be a great discussion question for the live chat. What funny name have you heard an arcade part called? Because I have heard some crazy names, especially when they're trying to describe what's wrong with it.
Right, and like the control panel, but also the joystick, the spinner, and the trackball. People have called that ball all sorts of things.
Wow,
instead of
mouse.
The mouse. The spinner, pretty much everybody gets spinner. Wow. And I guess it's just because it's pretty self-explanatory.
I guess so.
But we did that post so that people who buy the Arcade 1-Up cabinets will have a better idea, Tim, of exactly what to call what parts. And so in arcade vernacular, is that a good way to say it?
Yeah.
So, there you go. So you guys can check that out on our website. It's currently up there right now. Tim, I do want to make one more thing. Okay, we're actually going to delay the next live show a week. And we talked about this, and the reason why, guys, is because November 1st would be the next live show. That's the day after Halloween.
Right.
And we usually stay up pretty late, I was about to say, on Halloween night. And so, with parties and things like that. So we're actually going to delay that to November 7th. And Tim, I'm going to go ahead and throw this up here. So November live show, episode 21, will be the second Thursday of the month at our regular time. That's November 7th at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. And Tim, I've got the first scratched out there. We got the second up there, and that's why. So second Thursday of next month will be November 7th, 2018. You guys can join us then for episode 21. And so that way, Tim, we can stay up late for Halloween. We don't have to worry about doing the live show the day after. And you'll have another week at Mr. Gaddy's at that point. So that'll work out
Maybe the games will be installed by then.
There you go. That'd be really nice.
That
so.
actually would fall about right. So hopefully,
Perfect. That'd be
one
awesome.
week we open like the 15th. So,
Oh wow, that'd be 1
yeah.
week out almost. Golly. Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
hopefully. That's
Okay.
a goal.
There you go. So now, Tim, we're getting into the questions. So I'm going to go
Finally.
ahead and read some of the questions that we've already gotten here. And I saw one. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Somebody was wondering about Lethal Enforcers, where to find... Any idea? This is from Cisco. Any idea where I can get remote guns for a Lethal Enforcers cabinet? So where I can get, I guess, the guns.
Yeah, you get those from Hap Controls.
Right, so SuzoHap.com.
Yeah.
Or Hap Controls, I think they still own that domain as well. Hap
Or
Controls.
Betson.
Right,
Imperial
or Betson.
sells them. Mm-hmm.
So Betson.com or SuzoHap.com.
Yeah.
SuzoHapp.com.
But a lot of times you can find them on eBay cheaper than you can get them on there. So
Right, and
I
you
would
can-
search eBay.
Right, I was going to say, check with some of the people who buy parts in bulk from Hap and Betson. So like Twisted Quarter, Tim.
Yes.
Places like that. A lot of times they buy big bulk of parts, and so they can
Get
sell
a
them a
good
little
deal.
bit cheaper, right, than what you get if you buy just one
one.
from the actual manufacturer. So there you go. Okay, let me see what else I got here, Tim. Oh, okay. Now this, we'll go knock out some more of these little gaddy questions.
That's fine.
Robert says, "Are you going to have any VR machines?"
We do not have any currently, although I know that there's some new ones coming out. That's kind of... we are going to have a game by Apple, not the Apple that we know or invest in, but there's an Apple game. It's that face place, and it does some really cool different stuff. Not any off the bat.
Okay.
And like I said, everything is game, though, at this point. I wasn't in on the decision making for the first round of games, but you can bet I'll be in on the second one.
There you
And
go.
so
Coming
yeah,
up.
you know,
right?
I don't. You have a problem with VR games, and this is what Chucky ran into, because we were going to do the virtual reality games,
Right.
And you have the problem with people who have seizures and stuff, and I don't know. People are kind of scared of them. I don't know if it's a liability issue, but I still think there's something coming where you check people when they come in. Hey, you've never had a seizure? Okay, we'll let you in or do something. I know there's some new ones in the works, so hopefully my fantasy football league is going on.
There you go. Well, I think the
I think my
football game just
trade
started.
went. I think my trade went through.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, but I do hope that eventually we have something like that. Maybe a birthday attraction or something would be cool.
There you go. Couple of comments on the Arcade 1-Up. Zachary says Arcade 1-Ups are cool. Great way to keep retro gaming alive. Let's see. I think John was asking this too. Concave or convex buttons on the Arcade 1-Ups? Do you remember?
Seems like they were concave. I think they were like the like
a
this.
standard, like concave.
I think they were. They did feel. Man,
I think they're concave.
I want to say they were.
Right.
Because I would have noticed if they weren't.
Exactly.
It's more like I can't remember, so they must have been.
Yeah, because if they're convex, I immediately it really irks me for some reason.
I would have thought the buttons are cheap.
Exactly.
And I would have said something about
People
them.
like that. Some people like that.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's see what else we got here, Tim. Okay, getting into arcade questions. Let's go ahead and shift here. Danny says, is there any way to use a trackball with a JAMA harness? How would you hook it up? We actually have a question about that coming up.
Yeah, maybe it's his question.
It could be your question.
Hang
Danny.
on.
Hang on.
We're going to answer that soon.
Zachary says something, I guess this is something that he had heard somebody call something, a doohickey.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
a doohickey. Yeah.
There you go. And Zachary says, what to do if a CRT needs a width adjustment, but the coil is bad and no replacement parts available on a 4900 series? So there you go. On a 4900 series, he's saying the width coil is bad. He doesn't. He says no replacement parts available for the coil.
They're not selling another coil.
Correct. Now
Probably-
you can. I was gonna say the horizontal width kit.
Yes.
That Bob Roberts talks about, that's made of polypropylene caps.
Right, I always can't say
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Is a
Thank
very
you.
good thing to go with if you're having problems with width. It doesn't solve all the width issues. The width coil, Tim, adjustment usually helps quite a bit with that. But the horizontal width kit will help as well. And Tim, therealbobroberts.net, if you do a search on his website for horizontal width kits, you'll see what we're talking about. And you can order those from other people. We know that Bob Roberts has been down for a while, but there are other people selling those horizontal width kits.
Okay.
And so,
But
Zachary,
the problem is if he knows his coil is bad.
Right.
And he can't find a replacement one. I mean, I didn't know that they weren't available anymore because I used to have some. My best advice then would be to contact your local people or check on eBay for a broken chassis. They're dime a dozen, and they're all out there, and rob a Whitskoll off a used one. That'd probably be my best guess.
Sounds good. So, John was saying, in general, do you like concave or convex buttons?
Oh, I definitely like the concave.
Yeah. The traditional. I mean, we're both traditionalists when it comes to the buttons. Now, nothing wrong with convex if you prefer that. It's just the vast majority. I'm looking around my game room, Tim. I don't have one. I didn't install any of the buttons on these games, but they're all concave.
Yeah, just,
you know what I'm saying?
I guess
it's just something I think of with buttons.
It's the way the button should feel to me.
Right.
Just the classicness of it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
so
to each his own, though.
That's right, exactly.
Won't donkey if you like them.
There you go. Let's see. I'm looking here. Oh, somebody was asking, what card system are you using?
We're using an Embed.
The Embed System. Okay, so
which is very popular. Most of you have seen it. It actually swipes. It's a little fatter, I guess you could say, and it's usually lit up really good, and they're kind of clear, and then you run a card through there.
There you go.
And that's definitely the system that we're going to go with.
Yeah, so there you go. John also says, ever clean PCBs with water and simple green?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
All the time.
So just make sure you dry them real good.
Throw them in the dishwasher, too.
Yeah, throw them in the dishwasher, but remember, leave them out to dry.
Yeah.
For like a week.
Let them dry.
Yeah,
good.
I mean, we let them go.
I blow them with
an
an air gun. I set them out in the sun. I know they're dry probably within an hour, but I'll still leave them for a couple days.
Absolutely.
Usually.
So there we go. Okay, well, Tim, I think we're going to go on to the actual questions.
Okay, let's go.
We got all the news and everything out of the way. We're going to go ahead and get on to the actual questions.
Thank you guys for being so active in the chat room.
Exactly. We love having the comments and questions in the chat room. So we'll continue to get around to those as we go through the rest of these questions as well. Tim, one more here. Danny says, are micro switch buttons better than cheaper buttons? I know it's probably a personal opinion on that. So obviously, Tim, we use the micro switch buttons a lot.
Yes.
But there's cheaper buttons you can get where it's like an all-in-one. You've probably seen that, or some other things. Is he saying the micro switch are better?
Well, they're not $10 difference.
Right.
We're talking change.
Yeah.
So,
or even like a buck or two.
Yeah. So it's just a personal preference on that. I know what you're talking about, and we've had some of those in Chuck E. Cheese, and they're just kind of when you go reach up in a game and you try to repair one, it makes it a little more difficult. These are so easy just to pop it out or pull it out, and they come out, and then you can fix. Let's say you want to change a light in a button. It definitely creates, in my opinion, a little bit more of a hassle, and wouldn't be worth the 50-cent savings.
Sure, there you go.
That's just an opinion, though.
Okay. They keep coming in here, Tim.
Okay.
Robert says, I have a Pinball 2000 Star Wars game with a faulty CRT. Tried to change to LCD and CGA converter. Didn't work properly. Any tips? So he has a Pinball 2000 Star Wars Episode 1, which is the only Pinball 2000 Star Wars game they have, and it had a faulty CRT. He tried to change it to an LCD with the CGA converter, which is probably the GBS, the GBS 8200, Gombus 8200. Didn't work, it says properly, I guess is what I'm saying. Any tips? We did something, Tim. We talked about this in an upcoming video where we don't really like those converter boards, Tim.
Right.
We're not big fans of the GBS 8200. We have recommended them in the past, but now you can find LCD modders, Tim, that are ready to go that you don't have to buy the converter for.
Right.
And so in this particular instance, this may be a job for one of those. In fact, Tim, if you reach around there's a monitor right there.
Yeah, it's right there. I'll show you.
So we have an LCD here. This LCD actually is CGA, VGA compliant, which means you can use it as a drop-in replacement in arcade games without having to use the converter board. This is a MacVision, which is made by Hap, right?
Yeah.
Suzo Hap brand. And so you can see it here. It's a Waya, which I know in the past we've said MacVision, Waya, probably the same company, But you'll see here, it actually has a CGA in.
Right here.
Which actually has the exact same pinouts as what you would have on like a CRT monitor. So
has the VGA or the CGA right here.
Right. So you have red, green, blue, ground, and then you have your vertical sync. You have the composite sync. And I think those are the positive, and then you have the negative. Yeah. Composite, negative, horizontal, and vertical syncs.
So it's not, and they're usually, your typical connection will go right in there.
Right,
it's made for that.
So you can get these now, Tim. The only thing about it is I think Pinball 2000 may have used 25-inch monitor.
Yeah, they make a 26.
They make a 26 of this.
Yeah.
So that would be the thing probably to go. The only thing is it would be probably 16 by 9.
Right.
So, which may throw off your Pinball 2000 stuff depending. And so, you know, that's the thing is that we don't really have a good 25-inch 4x3 replacement. And
Not
so
really.
that makes it kind of hard to find some of those.
You just might have to create some kind of bezel or something to...
Right, but you got to remember the way it displays on the playfield with the mirror.
Oh, that's
what
right.
I'm saying. So there may be some issues with that, with the mirror and stuff. So the converter board may be your only option. There are a lot of things on that converter board, Tim, that you can tweak with to get it working. And so if you're not getting the right signal in, you may tweak with those things as well. The manual has some information about it, but the best resource for that, to be honest with you, is Amazon's review section on that converter board. There are people
that's a good idea.
Exactly. There are people there who know all of the different settings on it and what to do. And so I'd highly recommend going to like an Amazon review section on the converter board for more information. Because Tim, we've used them in the past, but every time we've used them, they just work. There's not a whole lot of stuff that we have to do on our end. And so if yours is not working, it could be a bad converter board, or there could be a setting buried in there somewhere that y'all have to find. And like I said, the Amazon review section may be able to help you out. So there we go. Let's see. Zachary. Somebody says, I have a 4600 coil I will sell you. See, look at that.
Nice.
So that $50.
That connection.
$50 for the width coil.
That's a little expensive.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Goya. This is Gohira, or however you say it. I always forget. How is the image quality on that CGA LCD compared to a CRT? Way better.
Yeah.
But you got to remember that it's not, it's not, what's the word? I'm not going to say authentic, but it's not the original thing that was in the
It doesn't have the
cabinet.
scan lines and
Right,
stuff.
you don't have the scan lines, you don't have the original feel and look. But LCDs, Tim, to me, look sharper than what you get with CRTs.
Right, almost too good on some games.
Exactly, and which is why we still prefer CRT, because that's more authentic.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with LCD, and a lot of times you get a better picture out of it.
We just put an LCD, we shot a video on it. We took a CRT out and put an LCD in, and so we'll be releasing that soon. But as far as just overall looks, the customer was very happy.
Yes.
He was like, wow. He was like, what a world of difference.
Don't worry, we kept the CRT. It's sitting literally right here.
Right there.
It is literally
Try not to step on it over here.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's a little trashy in here. I'm sorry. You gotta watch your step.
No, I'm just glad that we were able to. We did save it.
Yes, we did save it. And
but his choice, he paid for it.
I think I'm going to put it in this Miss Pac-Man, because this Miss Pac-Man actually has a tube issue. So it may end up going in there as a replacement for that. So
awesome.
I mean, I've swapped out the chassis on this thing. I still get kind of a fuzzy image on it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the tube. So anyway, so it may be ended up there. But we do have a video. Tim, we had a customer request that we put an LCD in for his CRT. His CRT was intermittent. It would work sometimes. It would not work other times. Syncing issues and other things. And, we gave him the option. We can fix it, or we can put the LCD in. He wanted the LCD, so we did it. And so that's what we filmed. Let's see what else we have here. Let's see. How's the maybe it just needs a cap job. Some LCDs are bad for caps. Probably talking about the width issue. Could just need caps, and caps make a difference.
Right.
A lot of times. Do you need? Let's see. Where was I at? See, it's scrolling so fast. Do you bulletproof with mods? So like the AR2 boards. Do you use like the Sense mod or anything like that whenever you can?
For sure. If we don't, we put extra fans or something. Yeah, everything that. By all means, if it's a game that we want to keep,
right,
and we're not hauling to auction the next week or something, we're going to.
Right.
It's in our collection.
Let's see here. You can, and Zachary, for the guys who have LCD units who want scan lines, you can get scan line converters, and Zachary mentioned that.
Right.
Tim, we talked a little bit about that. He says, I still prefer keeping CRTs alive, but if I had to choose a LCD, it doesn't look like a bad option. And you're exactly right. I mean, that's the thing. We still prefer CRTs too, Tim.
Right.
But we're always going to give the people we do repairs for an option of whether they want to stick the CRT, or if they want to repair the CRT or go with the LCD.
I prefer working games over non-working. And
exactly.
If we can get it working, then I want to fix it.
Well, and it's basically when you tell somebody, okay, we can fix your old 20-year-old used monitor, or we can put a brand new monitor
for
in
about
there.
the same price.
For close to the same.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to fix it, but it's a little bit more to get a brand new monitor. Most people just say put the new monitor in there.
Right, most time.
It just is what it is. So there you go. Okay. I think we're caught up to the chat room. There we go.
Click the slide.
We love
really
this.
Quick.
There we go. Okay,
Thank
we're
you,
going
guys.
on to the slide. Thank you guys for all your questions. We'll continue on here. The first question tonight, Tim, that we have pre-prepared is from Michael, and he says, my picture has turned upside down. How do I fix this? So, Tim, we got
great
Michael.
Question. So it wasn't upside down, but then it turned upside down.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Okay.
So what do we got?
Well, some arcade boards have, like the 60-in-1, for instance, have a dip switch or something where or a switch in the game that converts something like that. So maybe something like that got changed, or something in the settings where you could go in and reverse or flip.
The fact that, like you said, he probably had it right side up and then upside down leads me to believe it's something like that, like a switch.
That's kind of how I feel.
Sure.
Now, if you're just bought the game, or you're just putting in a monitor and it's upside down, you have really two choices. One is to flip the monitor physically, like to get it out and turn it around, and I've had to do that before. Or you can reverse the yoke wires, and sometimes that will do it, flipping it that way. But the fact that it was working and now it quit working really leads me to think of a setting or something went in the programming or something. I would definitely check in that. And he didn't say what kind of game it was.
No.
Assuming it could have been like a 60-1 or something.
Right. And actually, Tim, that's what I chose for our picture because I knew that had the flip on it. And somebody in the chat room said Yoke Flip, and that is exactly correct. That's what we're talking about with that second point that you were talking about, Tim. But some arcade boards, such as the 61 board, have a dip switch setting that will allow you to change the screen orientation. If this is the case with your board, you will just need to change the position of the corresponding dip switch in order to flip your screen back to its original direction. Tim, we mentioned the 60-1 is very similar to this, which is why we got the picture here. You can also accomplish this by flipping the yoke wires that run from your monitor tube to the chassis. Sometimes this involves cutting the yoke connector. Other times you can just switch to a different yoke connector plug on your chassis. And Tim, we put a link to the realbobroberts.net/yoke. HTML, because he actually has
it's kind of an article about it.
Correct.
And everything, and so we won't just beat it to death, and we'll go into a little more detail about flipping those yoke wires, which is definitely a possibility. But the only problem with that is if it was working, it's not very likely that your yoke wires magically flipped.
Right, exactly.
It'd be kind of like President Kennedy getting shot in the back, some magic bullet, or something.
How did we get on Kennedy? That was nice. Nice, very nice.
I was just thinking of something that, how in the world could it happen? It's pretty rare. I'm just saying.
Now I've seen monitor chassis though that have like two different plugs.
Yeah.
Like one for flipping it over, one for flipping it the other way.
Yeah, there'll be two kinds.
Right,
and
exactly.
Sometimes you just change the plug out. And he might have just been in there messing with something, but more than likely it's a setting. If you got more questions, Michael, please write us back or let us know what kind of game that really would have helped with this one a little bit.
Yes, it would.
But anyway, there's a wide range, and it's happened to us. And I recently installed a LCD at Chuck E. Cheese in a Deep Sea Treasure. A lot of you guys know that game.
Yes.
And I tried everything, and I looked, and the picture was upside down. And I thought, well, I'll go into the settings. I did this. I tried this. Finally, I realized there was one way to fix that. Take the whole game back around and turn it upside. So it's always a good idea, guys, before you put in something, that you go ahead and turn it on, see which way is the top. You can even write a little T or something on the top or something, Good idea.
And we actually talk about that in that video, Tim, where we replaced the CRT with the LCD. We actually show that you need to check it before you do the installation.
We did.
So there you go. Okay, Tim, now we have something in here. Robert sent us some Swedish krona.
Wow.
So I'm not sure how that translates to dollars, but we'll take it. Thank you very much for the donation. So
is that like Dogecoin or something?
I have no idea.
Bitcoin?
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know.
I think it's. I assume it's Sweden's currency. Sweden's currency.
Well, thank you, Robert.
There you go.
We'll transfer that.
Let's see. Zachary says, I had this problem on my Wells Gardner 7600. When I switched the Jammo board, it was upside down, so I flipped the yoke wires. Worked like a charm. Pretty strange, though, for sure. And Bob Roberts has a good yoke flip page, and that's what we linked to. And actually, It should be in the section right below here in the video description. There should be a link to that, so you guys can check it out there.
Right.
Okay, Tim. Let us go on to Kieran. And Kieran says, I stumbled on your site and checked out the podcast and Facebook page. Awesome job. I own an arcade of about 70 games in our family fun center, and we struggle when our game techs leave. It has been 5 years since we started. I have zero knowledge about arcade games, but I am motivated to learn the repairs first and then to build a curriculum so that I can develop techs internally. Are there any tips to finding local talent? Please offer some suggestions. Kieran from Phoenix, Arizona. Now, Tim, this is an interesting question now because you're going to be looking for game techs pretty soon.
Yes.
Because now you're general manager.
So is Chuck E. Cheese.
Exactly, and Chuck E. Cheese is going to be looking for a game tech as well. So Kieran writes in, he owns a family fun center, family entertainment center. He's wondering, how can he find techs okay, in his area that will be good to train up and teach this curriculum to, or maybe how to find people who are already qualified to repair games.
Right. Well, it's hard to find people who already know about games, but one of the best places to look is for people that have an interest in it.
Sure.
Like put up an ad at a GameStop or somewhere. Have you ever wanted to work on games? I can tell you right now, the best people I've ever hired didn't know much electronically, but they had a passion for games like most of you guys, and they were willing to learn. They ended up learning and staying. And one thing you can do is you can purchase our DVDs.
Right.
Or watch our channel. Or maybe some exciting things.
Read our website.
or you can. We have went and done a class before,
right?
So we're open to that. So check our website out, and the more you know, the better. I would not own. That's one reason why I got the job.
Sure.
I think it's because I'm games passionate and I know about fixing them. That took a lot of load off my owner's mind.
Sure.
Even though I'll have a tech, it's nice to have two eyes and something like that. So, Karan, I feel you. I understand what you're going through. The more you learn, the more you'll be able to pick out people. But don't overlook those people who may not have a lot of electrical knowledge and stuff, because that can be taught. What I need people is to show up on time and have a good attitude and work hard. I'll take them over the know-it-all guys any day.
There you go. So, Tim, I kind of wrote up something along those lines, kind of consulting with you. While it may strike many as odd, hiring someone with a lot of electronics repair experience is usually not the first characteristic we look for when it comes to filling an arcade technician job position. We found that factors like their love of coin-operated games, Tim, like you mentioned, willingness to learn, and work ethic play more of a role in hiring and keeping someone in these positions. Like you mentioned, Tim, electronics repair, part of arcade technician, can be taught. Those other factors cannot, which makes them more valuable when looking for someone to fill this kind of position and retaining them as a long-term asset for your company, or business, or whatever you got. So there you go, Tim. Is that pretty much sum it up there for you?
Yeah, and I wanted to mention that we bought our games from Betson, and Betson has what they call Betson Technical University. It's a 2-day crash course. It's not super cheap, but you can send your text and they have locations all over the United States. Our closest one is Dallas.
Right.
You can send your text there for a 2-day school. I think, though, it will be worth the money, and you'll get that money back. You might want to consult Betson and see if they offer that or what the closest one is to you. Or I guarantee if we do make road trips like that, depending on where you are, and you pay for the expenses, we'll be glad to come out, spend a day with you and whoever techs that you have. We found that most people, it helps though to have a little electronic knowledge. Guys that like to fix or tinker with stuff, you can tell that a lot in the interview and put that in your ad. I'm looking for a person who's interested in doing this, not just I need this person that can rebuild all, because most of the time in a family entertainment center, you do not have the time to circuit board repair and all that stuff anyway. You're just going to flip it and get a new one, get it running, because it doesn't make any money while it's down.
Sure.
We don't do as much monitor repairs these days, that kind of stuff. A lot of it is physical abuse or just parts that wear out. Every company has their own tech support. So whoever made your game, let's say for instance the Big Bass wheel is made by Baytech. You could call Baytech tech support and just have somebody who's willing to learn. They can walk them through, hey, I'm brand new, I don't know a lot, but I'm here at the game, and they are very nice. Just about every game manufacturer that I know in the U.S. are so nice about, well, if they know you're new, they'll walk you through it, they'll take their time. But they could watch a lot of our videos. I guarantee you that would help them a lot.
There you go. So, Kieran, hopefully answers your question, and good luck finding techs for your family entertainment center in Phoenix, Arizona, Tim. So
okay.
There you go. Let's go back to the chat room real quick. We got a couple of questions while we were covering that one. Danny says, I have a 1968 Williams Cabaret pinball machine that I got for free. Cleaned it up, replaced some things, and realized I'm missing the score motor and assembly. Very hard to find the assembly. Any tips? That's a tough one.
You're going to have to go to somewhere like Pinball Resources and email. You're going to probably need to join some pinball chat rooms and Facebook groups and stuff. That is going to be tough. And to find that part, you're basically going to find another dead machine or something that will work. And somebody that deals in pinballs all the time would know that. So I would definitely seek out those pinball groups.
Now, with 3D printing becoming so what's the word, mainstream, you may be able to find somebody who can 3D print that part for you.
Especially if you can get a drawing or some idea, or if you have one and you could send that off that needs repaired. So a lot of people, especially in the pinball communities, really love the 3D printers.
There you go. John says, what was that arcade tech publication with tips and tricks called back in the day? Star Tech? Yeah, I think he's thinking of the Star Tech Journal. Yes. Yeah. And are you a subscriber? I don't think it's around anymore, right?
No, if I was, I haven't been subscribing for years.
Right. So there you go. Let's see.
I love the questions, though.
Yeah, Robert says, I have a World Cup Soccer 94 pinball game that keeps resetting itself when it starts up in a continuing loop. Is it the bridge rectifier or any caps? So it sounds like it's a power issue.
Yes.
Of some sort. Could be a bridge rectifier.
It could be, because what's generally, just like arcade games, anything that keeps resetting, it usually doesn't have enough voltage.
Right.
So you need to check your voltage at your board and see what you're running. If it's not, then that is exactly where I would go.
Right. There you go. So, okay. Well, I think that catches us up on the chat room, Tim. So we will continue on here with our next question from Jose.
Okay.
Jose says, hey, good mornings. It's actually evening, but we'll take good morning too, right, Tim?
Might be where Jose lives.
There you go. So I've got a Snack Attacker claw machine, and Tim, it sounds like a candy crane,
we had one of those.
I was about to say candy crane, with a double coin mechanism, meaning that there are 2 spots to put in the quarters.
Okay.
This is my first game, and for some reason, when you put a quarter into the right slot, it falls directly into the ejection door and does not go into the mechanism and count the credit. Is there a video to help me troubleshoot this issue I'm having? Any advice? Thanks in advance, Jose. So, Tim, we got Jose, who's got a Snack Attacker, and like we said, Candy Crane, very common one. And, Tim, it sounds like his left coin slot is working fine, but his right one, when he puts a coin in, it just falls right through the eject. It never goes through the mech.
Right.
So, what do you think's happening? Why is his Snack Attacker rejecting the right coin slot coins?
Well, it's hard to say without looking at it, but one of the things he asked if there was a video. Unfortunately, there is.
Yes.
We shot one.
We did.
We talk about coin mechanisms and how they work, so you really need to watch that video, but I'll go through a few of the things you can check. You got to make sure that whatever coin, I assume quarters, is that is a quarter mech. It may not be, it may be a token mech, or it may be for something else. And so you've got to have a quarter mech in there, because otherwise it's just going to reject it. Then you're going to open it up, make sure that there's a magnet in there, make sure that there's nothing stuck to that magnet. Also, there's a couple adjustments that we go through in the video that you need to do to make the quarter fall. But you need to take the mech out of the game so you can look at it and look at the differences in the two. Where are the screws lined up, and maybe it needs to slide over or something. But I bet you that it just may need adjusting, or if you open it, you literally take the front part and you open it up inside around that magnet. If you get some screws, bolts, slugs, things like that, it will cause that coin to drop, or that top screw needs to be adjusted a little bit. It's too far open or too far closed for the coin to go where it needs to go. Please watch our video on it, though.
Sounds good, Tim. I think you covered everything that I put in the little slide here, Tim, so I'm just going to go ahead and show it up here and we'll read it. From your description, it sounds like you may be having some issue with the coin mechanism that's attached to the right coin slot of your coin door. Could be broken, jammed, or just need adjustment. Start off by opening the coin door and inspecting the coin mech itself. Open the slide of the mech to make sure that no coins are stuck inside of it. If you inspect the mech and everything looks good, then you may need to replace the mech altogether. Please see our post on adjusting a coin mech for more information on coin mechs and how they work. And Tim, this is a great opportunity for us to say once again that we always recommend IMNX coin mechs. We do not get a check from IMNX every time we say that, but the reason we do is because, Tim, we've had games on route and we've had them take coins, and we found that IMNX are the most reliable for capturing coins.
They don't have the metal thing in there that catches a lot of that stuff. They're practically indestructible. They're made very well, and we like them.
Yeah. So IMNX is the brand that we like, and they let pretty much anything through that's supposed to quickly.
Well,
And so-
here would be an example at Chuck E. Cheese when somebody little kids would put a ticket in that slot. You won't see it because it'll go down in there, but that one thin little ticket would keep a coin from going. It would reject it every time.
Exactly.
So opening it up, getting that trash out. If it was a Chuck E. Cheese game, I'd say get the ticket out of it.
There you go. So, Jose, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting the right side of that snack attacker working again. Right side coin slot, Tim. So
All right.
Okay, it looks like we've got another question here. I have another pinball game from 1992. This is from Robert, Tim.
Okay, hey, Robert.
With a failing dot matrix display. It faded away over time and at last completely didn't show anything at all. Do you think the display is broken or the power? Now, it really depends here. Tim, I've seen some issues with, what's the Gottlieb? With some of the newer Gottlieb dot matrix games, I've seen it to where there's some chips on the back, Tim, that can cause the dot matrix display to go out, but the display itself is okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you may be able to replace the chip if it's a Gottlieb. But with most of the Williams Valley type stuff, Tim, I think a lot of times it's just the display you'll have to replace.
Yeah, and once I don't know if there's some kind of gas or something in there, and the plasma display or whatever, and when it leaks or goes away, it's gone.
Right.
And you just have to replace it. I would, though, check the power going to it. There should be some power wires. So read your voltage. Make sure you do have power going to it, because if you don't have enough power, it's going to do that also.
Right.
And but they do go bad, with a hook like that. It just was kind of fading, and pretty soon the lights went out. So sometimes you just have to replace them.
There you go. So, Robert, hopefully answers your question. And, Tim, I think a big thing here is he said it kind of failed more and more over time.
Right.
I think the fact that it failed more over time makes me think the display's probably bad.
Now, some of them have some caps and stuff on the back, and by all means, if you see some of that, you can rebuild them, but most of the time, you just have to get them replaced. We have a Simpsons Cookie Carnival at Chuck E. Cheese, and we went upgraded now to LCD because those plasma ones didn't seem like they would last. But every couple years, we'd have to replace it.
There you go. Okay, and Danny says, I talked to you guys last show about putting Area 51 together, and I started putting it together, hooked up my JAMA to it with negative 5 volts hooked up, and I have no video to my CRT. Tried another board, and the monitor works. Any tips? So, if the negative 5, Tim, I think that may have been in relation to the audio.
Right.
Okay, the negative 5 is probably not going to help your video having it hooked up, but it will help the audio. If you're not getting any video, Tim, you could have an actual major problem with your board.
Sounds like it.
Sometimes, if the hard drive though fails, you will also fail to get any video.
Okay.
And so it may be worth, if you haven't already replaced the hard drive, you may need to do that as well. It just, it kind of depends on which revision of the board you have. So, okay, let's see. Robert says, do you have any place where you can find old service manuals? Tim, there's a couple of places that we have, just out there on, I think we've listed a couple on our website, but I was trying to think of some off the top of my head. That, KLOV has a lot of service manuals for a lot of games now, so
yes.
You can go there. Text Files, Tim, if you remember, there's an arcade archive that you can go to that has a lot. Crazy Kong has quite a few there. CrazyKong.com has some manuals as well. Tim, whenever we need a manual, though, a lot of times we just do a Google search for it.
Right.
And so we'll find these websites that have this stuff. There's the Arcade Archive, like we talked about. There's a lot of places to go, but a lot of times we'll just do an internet search. If we can't find it through a Google search, then we may try to obtain one from somebody we know, ask around in the community. Tim mentioned earlier about forums and different things, going onto a forum, asking people if they've got a copy of it, so that way you'll have it. So, okay, let's see. I guess we'll go on here, Tim. I think we're caught up with the chat. So the next one we have here is from Preston. And Preston says, hello, I found your website while searching for an NFL Blitz 2000 manual. Speaking of manuals. So there you go. I bought a used one recently, and I'm having an issue with the right fuse on the main transformer blowing. It worked totally fine for the first week. This problem started out of the blue, but now the game won't stay on for longer than maybe 15 or 20 minutes without blowing that same fuse. Always the one on the right. Any ideas? Thanks. Okay, Tim, so we have Preston here. He's got an NFL Blitz 2000. Great game. Okay, I've got a Blitz Showtime combination game that I like to play. But he's got this fuse in there, and, it worked fine for a while, like his game did. And then all of a sudden, it would just pop that fuse every so often. And he's saying now it won't stay on longer than maybe 15 or 20 minutes. So it's staying on for an amount of time, and then all of a sudden that fuse will just...
Right.
And so he's not sure exactly what would be causing the fuse to blow. What do you think is the cause of this fuse? What can he do to help track down the issue?
Well, we got to determine what's causing the fuse to blow. And there's a couple things that it could be. Number one, you could have the wrong fuse in there. The fact that it plays for 15 minutes and then blows is kind of an indicator to me. You don't want to just put the highest rated fuse you can find, but you need to figure out what fuse is supposed to go there. You'll need to look at the schematics, or maybe it's written on the board or down there where you're plugging in your fuses. But what you really need to do is follow the wires from that fuse and where do they go. In other words, if they're heading up towards the monitor, you may have a monitor issue that's blowing your fuse. If they're headed to your power supply or somewhere else, maybe it's your power supply. Now, one thing that we like to do is always have a handful of fuses ready and just start unplugging stuff. We've seen something as simple as the marquee light up in here causing issues and blowing a fuse. Unplug the light, the game worked, everything. Put a new light in, no problems. So what we normally recommend, and this is just a simple approach, is just to start unplugging stuff, put it in there, come back 15, 20 minutes later, see if the fuse blew with the monitor unplugged. If it didn't, or if it did, probably know it's not your monitor. How about putting just the monitor on, unplugging your game board, waiting another 15 or 20 minutes, coming back, did it blow that time? And sometimes that will help you narrow it down in a very simplistic way.
There you go.
But we really, one thing we don't stress enough is there's a reason that they put a 3 amp slow blow fuse there versus a 10 amp fast blow. There's a reason.
Right.
And, I'm not smart enough to understand all those reasons, but I do know if it had a 3 amp in there, you should put a 3 amp in there, whatever goes in there. There's a reason for that. So sometimes you just have the wrong fuse, or maybe you need a 10 amp fuse and you have a 3 amp fuse, or a 7 amp fuse or something. So maybe just putting in the higher amp, I wouldn't try that unless the manual calls for it. But if the manual calls for it, putting in that, it may run just fine after that.
There you go. So, Tim, I kind of went with something similar. I said, start off the repair by tracing down where the wire goes from the fuse that's blowing.
Right.
And you mentioned the monitor. If it's in the monitor, unplug the monitor, see if the fuse blows again. If it doesn't, then you probably have a problem with your monitor. And you mentioned power supply, marquee light, can be a number of things. But the main thing here, Tim, is let's find out where that wire is going from that fuse. Blowing fuses like this can also be caused by broken, cut, or damaged wires, Tim. We just had a post on that. If something's grounding out or making contact with an area of the cabinet that it otherwise should not be touching, double check the wire itself. Make sure that the other connections to this wire that this is not the case, that it's not making a connection where it shouldn't be. And so that's really what it comes down to. So
I fixed the game today, John, and the biggest problem, it took me a little while to figure out what's going on with it. When they would push it up against the wall at night, they're really putting a crimp on the power cord coming out of the wall. And when I would pull it out, it was tripping a breaker, which is kind of like a big fuse, right? So I couldn't figure out. I push it out of the wall, breaker doesn't trip. I push it back where it goes, breaker trips. And I realized I'm putting that in such a bind that was shorting out something and causing it to blow a breaker, which in your case a fuse. So definitely check those for broken and damaged wires also.
So we actually had that same problem with that multicade I put up at the church. The wire got damaged and it was blowing breakers.
Right.
Because of the damage, it was making the contact between the neutral and the hot.
So that by all means check your power cord and also make sure that it's grounded good.
Sounds good. So Preston, hopefully answers your question. Good luck figuring out what's blowing your fuse in that NFL Blitz 2000 cabinet. And Tim, Robert says a different question. What are your top 3 pinball machines? Top 3 pinball games, Tim.
Top 3, we like...
I'll let you go first. I'll go second.
Okay.
Or I can go first. You can go second.
I like Star Trek Next Generation. That's always... AC/DC is always going to be probably one of my favorites. And number 3, I'm a big Multimorphic fan. I would not uninclude that.
Honorable mention, maybe?
Yeah, an honorable mention. But if I just, what I would really love to own and put and have, maybe I like some older stuff like Black Lagoon. I like some of that stuff, but newer, I love Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
I don't know why.
So Ghostbusters, AC/DC, and what was the other one?
And
Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah.
Okay, for me, AC/DC's up there.
Okay.
And then The Getaway, High Speed 2, and then Bride of Pinbot.
Oh, yeah.
Bride of Pinbot's got to
those
be in
would
my
be
top
good.
3. So there you go.
And we've always liked Whodunit every time we
Yeah,
play
Whodunit's
one.
a
We
lot
always
of fun.
have
I don't know
a
if
good
it's
time.
a top 3 for me.
Maybe
but
not.
it's a fun game. I like No Good Gophers. It's like one of my favorites. I love Star Trek Next Generation too. I mean, they're all good.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick just 3. Adam's Family though, like how can you not throw in Adam's Family? Twilight Zone is okay to me, but a lot of people love that game. So I mean, there's so many good ones. But Bride of Pinbot's got to be up there for me.
Yeah, it's
AC/DC
like the
is
more I
fantastic,
play Bride of Pinbot, the more I like it.
and Getaway is just one of those I have to play every time I see it. So there you go. Let's see what else we have. What do you do for a stretched out edge connector pins? Replace the pins or can you bend them back? So I guess he's saying like the edge connector pins inside the edge connector are like damaged or pulled back or something. So do you replace them or do you try to bend them back?
I normally try to bend them back if I can because, but they're not hard to replace. In fact, we talked about shooting a video pretty soon on that. I've got one at the house that I've just decided I'm just going to replace it because once you do it a couple times, they're so much easier. But I've caught myself many a time just trying to get my fingernail under there where it'll pop that up, where it snaps back in. And if by all means, or I've used a razor blade and kind of helped me get under there and stretch it out a little bit. Most of the time I do that just because it's quick. I don't have to go get a part and do it.
There you go. Danny says, what's the best kind of paint to use on an arcade cabinet?
Well, a lot of people like latex because it cleans up real easily and you don't have, but really an oil-based paint, it makes, to me, a better paint, more expensive paint will adhere and last a little longer, but it's kind of a personal preference. A good question, though. I can remember you have this a Mortal Kombat over here. I wish everybody could see that we painted over 10 years ago
with oil
base, and it's still real shiny and real black, and it just pops. It always has. And if you really want to, I guess probably the painters would tell you, it's kind of like, and you don't want humidity and stuff after a while.
Right.
Water base will affect like that, where it won't affect an oil-based paint. So it is a little harder to clean up and some of that stuff, but I recommend if you're going to keep it and if you want to really take a lot of pride in your paint job, you probably use an oil base.
There you go. Let's see, and that was from Danny. Danny says, "Thank you guys so much for answering my questions. Loved loved arcade games growing up. On them, love your show for sure." Thank you so much, Danny. That's very nice of you to say. Robert, the one who asked about the 3, he said, I had one Bride of Pinbot, but it changed to a Theater of Magic. Another great pinball machine.
Yes.
Theater of Magic is so much fun. John says, what's the cleaner for the PCB connector pads that you use, Tim? So to clean the PCB connector pads there, what kind of cleaner do you use?
Okay, well, a lot of times we use a pencil eraser. He's talking about the edge connections.
Right.
Just a general contact cleaner, rubbing alcohol works pretty good. But one of my favorites, and guys, if you ever watched some of my videos, and it's kind of like a little known secret, they used to sell at Walmart, Dollar General, stuff called Moss, MAAS. And it just it cleans really good. You'll look like you're cleaning, and then you'll take your towel through, your towel will just be black, and it'll be really shiny. It cleans metals. A lot of people use them on car rims and stuff. Neverdull is really good. I know they sell that at Walmart.
Something else that I know you've used in the past, Tim, is that electronics cleaner with the brush on the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I forget what that thing's called. You used to get at Radio Shack all the time.
Yeah, it's like contact cleaner.
Right.
That works okay.
It comes in a little spray with a little brush on the end, and you just spray it on there. I think it's just alcohol mainly, but I mean, you just spray it.
But try Moss, MAAS, but you can get that at Amazon, or try Neverdull, which comes in a little silver can. I know you can get that at Walmart in the tires section, somewhere where Armor All and stuff is. Try that sometime and tell me what you think.
Now, Joe said, trackball with JAMA harness for Danny. I would like to know the answer to this as well. Guess what, Tim? That's the next question. So here we go. Mm-hmm. Okay, for those who have been waiting for this one, there you go. Nick says, I'm curious about JAMA boards. Is there a way to run a trackball as 2-player controls to use on some of the original trackball games? Any help would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Nick. So, Tim, Nick wants to know, is there a way to run a trackball as two-player controls to use on some of the original trackball games? And, Tim, to me, it sounds like he's really talking about a multi-game board.
Yes.
Because of the way that he phrases
like a 60-in-1.
Exactly, the way he phrases the question. So, Tim, is there a way to hook up that trackball to the JAMA harness in order to use it to play some of these classic games?
Yeah, you use the two-player joystick, and you run it to, you wire it up to that, and you want to go ahead and show the slide.
So for those of you guys who haven't seen the 61 manual, you'll see here, Tim, if you look on the solder side about 3/4 of the way down, you'll see where it says it says player 2 up, down, left, right, but that's actually says trackball -y plus y minus x plus x.
Right.
Okay, to let you know the positioning. So on the 60-in-1, you can actually hook the trackball up to the JAMA harness. Now, Tim, we should also say the 60-in-1 board has two headers that you can also use for trackball controls.
Right.
Okay, so like if you have a, let's say you have a two-player cocktail game and you have a trackball on each side, you could use the header pins in order to hook up the trackball.
Correct.
Okay, so that's what that's for. So, getting into this, yes, you can wire up a trackball to the two-player joystick controls on 61 board. This will allow you to play games such as Centipede and Millipede using the trackball for movement. You can also wire the trackball to the Con 3 connector on the board that will also allow you to use the trackball for gameplay. And Tim, if you have a two-player cabinet, you'd use Con 3 and Con 4.
Right.
So, on the Game Elf boards, like the 412-in-1 that we've talked about, Tim, there is a trackball harness that you'll need to hook up the trackball. This harness can be usually purchased from the supplier who sells you these boards. And that goes into a connector on the Game Elf board.
Right.
Now, people may be wondering, can I hook a trackball up and use it as joystick controls? There may be an adapter for that, but I'm not aware of one.
Right.
Okay, like one that will actually translate the up, down, left, right to joystick controls. I'm not aware of anything like this. The 61 is built to where it will take it.
Right.
Okay, but...
and you can play Pac-Man with a trackball.
Yes, you can. On the 61 board, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can play the trackball with all the games. But the 61 board, Tim's the only board that I know of that allows you to do that. Otherwise, you're going to need some sort of adapter in order to adapt the trackball to standard directional joysticks.
Correct.
So, and it'll have to be something that is 8-way compatible for the most part because of the way trackballs work, So.
Yes.
There you go. So, I mean, I think, does that pretty much answer the question? On a 61 board, you can wire the trackball to the player 2 joystick, or you can wire it to one of the Con 3 connector or the Con 4 if you've got two players. And then you can also do the Game Elf boards, but you have to have that special harness. And Tim, we've actually wired this up before, and we've ordered that harness and did it.
Yes.
So, I mean, you'll have to have that harness on the Game Elf boards in order to do it. But every game is different. Okay, and so if a game uses a trackball, typically there's a connector somewhere where that trackball connects. I think on Centipede and Millipede, Tim, that actually is the edge connector, correct?
Right.
So on some games, it is the edge connector. On other games, you may have to hook it up to a separate connector on the board, like a gun, like you would a light gun or something else. So, okay. Is that it?
I think so.
Good
if you have any more
explanation.
questions in the chat, just go ahead and ask.
There you go. So it really depends on the board. But on the 16-1, yes, you can wire up a trackball to the player 2 joystick section, and it will work. So, okay, cool. Okay, Danny says, so I can use the trackball with the JAMA harness hooked up to the player 2. Could I use it like that on Golden Tee? I believe Golden Tee has a separate connector for the trackball. Could be wrong about that. Okay, you may have to consult your Golden Tee manual or your Golden Tee pinouts for that. I'm not sure exactly where the trackball connection on Golden Tee goes. I haven't looked at it.
I should know, but it's been so long. I'm pretty sure you're right. It's kind of like a gun.
I want to say it's a separate connector on a Golden Tee that you have to hook the trackball up to. Every board is different.
Right.
So there you go. Okay. John says, where do I get the monitor repair flowcharts, Tim? They're floating around on the web. We don't share them on our website because, Tim, they're copyright of a certain guy.
Andy something.
Frandy Rom?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Andy Roms or something.
Randy Fromm.
Yeah.
Randy Fromm. Most of the flowcharts that you see going around are actually copyright Randy Fromm.
Right.
Tim, they
so
come
you get them from Randy Fromm's website. You can go and buy a virtual copy of the blue or green book.
I think it's the blue book. Is it the blue book?
Anyway, you can go to his site and
you have
and
a
get
copy.
them. I do.
Like you have an actual copy.
Yes.
Yes, like a hard copy of the blue.
And it's very helpful.
The blue book. And Randy Fromm is an arcade. He's been teaching arcade, Tim, for years. He does seminars all over the United States. I think he's going to be doing one in Orlando very soon. But he is super, super technical when it comes to this stuff. And like Tim's yawning here because he's thinking about one of the Randy Fromm seminars. So, just to let you guys, we like Randy Fromm. I mean, and he has some great information. But those monitor flowcharts pretty much all come from Randy, Tim.
Right.
And so you can find them floating around on the internet if you do a search, right? But if you want to purchase, if you want the source of where those came from, you need to go to Randy Fromm's website and buy, I think, the Big Blue Book.
Yes.
So there you go. But he has ones for pretty much everything. Now, Tim, there was an article, I think, either in Replay Magazine or one of the magazines where he gave out the flowcharts. And some people have posted that article.
Okay.
Like, he's got his flowcharts in the article. And I can't remember where that article is, but if you do a search, you'll find it. So, I mean, if you're... But, you know, search the model of your monitor and flowchart, you may find one.
Right.
So there you go. But we don't link to him because we like Randy.
Right.
And he's the one who created them, and so he should get all the credit for them.
Sure.
So there you go. Okay. Tim, let us continue on here. This next one is from Spencer. And Spencer says, "Hello, my name is Spencer. I've been snooping around your website for some time now and have a few questions. Recently, my dad and I have been toying with the idea of creating a hobby out of repairing video game cabinets, but have been too intimidated to actually jump into it. How difficult would you say it is to get seriously into arcade repair? I have no background knowledge of arcades or arcade repair other than what we've seen from your website. I would really love to get into this and be dedicated and serious about it, but I also understand my lack of knowledge in the subject might hold me back. So, just out of curiosity, what are your suggestions? How difficult is it to learn and get into? How expensive is it to get started having to buy the tools? And do you feel it's a worthwhile task or hobby? I really admire your informative website and your hard work. I also appreciate your time and help. Thanks, Spencer." So, Tim, here we go. We got Spencer here, and this is kind of one of those other questions kind of like we got from Kieran here.
Right.
So Spencer wants to get into arcade repair as a hobby, maybe with him and his
Right.
dad, but the problem is that they have like zero knowledge about how to get into this thing.
Right.
So he wants to know, how difficult is it? Okay, just overall. How expensive is it? And is it worthwhile? That
Okay.
basically is. So difficulty, expensive, and worthwhile.
If it was difficult, we never would have survived.
There you go.
So, I mean, as far, there are technical difficult things we talk about sometimes, but most of it's just getting in there and getting your hands dirty. If you've watched our videos, you probably already have more knowledge than the average person on games. So if you'll watch our videos, I think it's definitely not that difficult.
There you go. So what about the expense of the tools? Are the tools expensive? Is it expensive to get into?
We did an article on my first arcade toolbox, and that will show you some of the basic tools. You're probably looking, it depends on, we use a lot of tools that you would use in a lot of household projects.
Sure.
If you already have those, needle nose pliers and nut drivers and stuff like that, electrical tape and so forth, you're probably pretty set. You will need some specific tools like a multimeter, things like that. So I would say $200 to $300 worth of tools would be just a rough estimate.
There you go. And so what about, is it a worthwhile hobby?
Well, sure, it's worthwhile. We wouldn't have been doing this for over 10 years, you know, and collecting games probably even a lot longer than that. 20
And working
years.
at Chuck E. Cheese for 17
And working at Chuck E. Cheese for 17 years. Just ask the guys in the chat room. Of course, it's worth it. It's fun. And it's something, and what I like is you said you and your dad could do it together. I think that's great. I think that's a really good thing, especially if you have someone that both of you, two heads are always better than one. There's a lot of times Jonathan and I have been working on a game, and had the other person not been there, it would have been really hard to figure out, but we always seem to complement each other, and we've fixed everything we've ever worked on. So pretty much, I don't think we've ever given up on anything. So I just, difficulties depending on how in depth you want to go, but for the most part, it's just fun. I mean, and then you get to fix the game, then you play the game.
That's right.
I mean, it's not fun just to hang around, but it's fun to do something with that knowledge. And how many videos do we have, Jonathan?
I golly, like 80, like on just arcade repair. Yeah, 60, 70, 80, something like that.
If you watch even half of those, I mean, you watch all 80 videos like some people have.
I can't remember, something like that.
You should get a certified plaque and be an arcade tech already by now. So if you'll watch our videos, we try not to make it hard. We try to make it easy, and so just keep watching and email us with questions. And we got a chat room full of people that will help you, and a Facebook page where people like to help each other. We try to make it a fun hobby, and so you came to the right place.
There you go. So let me go ahead and throw this up here, Tim, and just read this. Difficulty is not bad, especially if you're already familiar with the general home repair techniques, electrical plumbing, etc. Heck, if we can do it, anyone can.
That's right.
So there you go. On the tools, you can start off with the basics and then purchase the more advanced tools when you need them. Check out our post on your first arcade toolbox for more information. And Tim, you don't have to go out and just buy that tube rejuvenator.
Right.
Or buy that, $250 Hacko soldering gun.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't start with that. Start with the basics. Get you a basic soldering iron for like $30. Get you a nice toolbox. Tim, you could probably get a nice set of first arcade tools for like $100 to $150.
Probably so.
Okay, like everything that you need to get started. Anyway.
Get some used tools at garage sales, pawn shops, stuff like that too.
Absolutely. So, and then while usually requires some patience, we feel it's a worthwhile hobby if you enjoy tinkering with stuff.
Right.
That's
if the game's already broke, you're not going to hurt it anymore.
Exactly.
Well, maybe you will, but you know what I'm saying. If it's broke, what do you got to lose? Just give it a try.
Exactly.
And so find a broken game in your area and try to bring it back to life.
Absolutely. So, Spencer, hopefully answers your question. And if you have any other questions moving forward with repairs, please let us know. We'll be happy to help you out. And Tim, we got some comments and things here. Robert said, I live in Sweden and we have different rules when it comes to tickets from machines. It's illegal. The government thinks that the adults could not handle it and become gambling addicts.
Wow.
So there you go.
Interesting.
Let's see here. Edward says hi.
Okay, hello, Edward.
There you go. Joe says, I started with your website and KLOV forums, and now I fix all my own machines.
There you go. So, Spencer, I would definitely... I was thinking that question. There are probably a ton of guys that are involved in our chat room or on our Facebook page that have said, we started where you are.
Exactly.
And everybody did. Everybody did at some point, I doubt anybody's here's dad was an arcade. Most of the people.
Maybe Randy Fromm's.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe Randy's kid or something.
Right, exactly.
I don't know. But most people, you just got to start somewhere, and we all were there.
YouTube Punk donated, had a nice donation for us, Tim.
Thank you very much.
So we always appreciate that. That's right. We like reoccurring contributions. We like that. So thank you, YouTube Punk, for your donation. We always appreciate that. Robert says it makes it hard to find fun games, and this is on the Sweden thing, Tim.
I bet.
To put out in arcade areas. Do you have any tips for me? We are going to expand with new games soon. So any tips for non-ticket redemption games?
Well, if you can't give out tickets, maybe you give a prize redemption game like that gives a capsule or a crane machine that gives a toy plush. If that's allowed, I think it's something about winning that really brings it, I won this. So maybe if those are not legal, and then just games that are fun, I highly recommend any game that's a 2-player or a 4-player where you can compete with your friends. That always brings a level of enjoyment and fun to me. If a game doesn't give tickets, at least I can play you and you can beat me and stuff. So, we'll have some competition. So those type of competitive games I think are fun.
Now, Tim, when you're talking about like cranes and stuff, that's what we consider self-redemption.
Yeah, self-redemption.
So the question to Robert would be, would self-redemption games
be legal
in Sweden? That's a good question.
Kind of like a gumball machine. You put a coin in, you at least get something for it.
Right. And what time is it in Sweden? I'm just curious.
Oh my goodness, it has to be late.
Yeah, that's right.
So at least 7 hours from now.
Exactly. So it's like early morning, right? Or middle of the night, one or the other, I don't know. Danny says, I have an arcade cabinet. I got somebody paint over the old decals and it's peeling, so I started stripping it by hand, but some of it won't come off, and I don't want to do damage to the wood. Any tips? Citrus strip.
Yeah, okay.
Citrus strip is great for removing paint that just won't come off. I've seen people do fantastic things with citrus strip, and it is just come off. I say no problem. You'll still have to scrub on it, but it helps with those really tough, really old pieces of paint that you just can't get off. So citrus strip.
We took a power washer to a Burger Time one time.
There you go. Power washer may work. Now, you don't want to
get it wet.
Well, I was going to say,
we had to dry it really quick.
Right, you may not want to damage the cabinet, and I think that's part of it. And the problem with power washing, Tim, is you may damage the cabinet if you're not careful. So,
still fun.
Any other tips, though, for getting that old paint off?
No, the citrus strip is very good.
Yeah, citrus strip is good stuff.
If you don't know what that is, Google it and get some of that.
There you go. And then John says, have you guys dabbled in ROM hacks? Anyone in mind? Not really. I've played ROM hacks, and Tim, we're going to be talking about a ROM hacked bootleg version of Street Fighter coming up here that many of you may be familiar with. But as far as actually hacking the ROMs myself, never really looked into it.
No, me either.
It's not something that we thought about. It's not hard because if you've got if you have a ROM burner and you've got the image, you can just change a couple of bits here and there, and
I think it's fun though. Some of them that I've seen people do is kind of fun. So if that's that's something you like to do, I think it's cool.
There you go. Okay, Tim, I think this is our last question, and this one comes from the Headless Horseman.
Okay.
Okay, and remember last time he
we talked to him before.
He's apparently been watching all of our videos and just commenting on them as he goes.
Okay.
And so he had a couple for us this time, Tim, and he says, what adult games are on the 412-in-1 board?
Okay.
And is that Tim's Kiss Pinball in the Cleaning a Pinball Machine video? Do you still have
I wish it was.
And so, yeah, exactly. So, Tim, is that your Kiss Pinball?
That is not my Kiss Pinball, but...
That was on location,
That's
unfortunately.
Miss Jackie's Kiss Pinball.
Oh, Miss Jackie.
And I know, still good friends with her.
Is it still working?
As far as I know.
Because we fixed it, too.
Well, she hadn't called me in 5 years, so I guess so. And she knows how to get in touch with me because she's my Facebook friend. So
there you go.
I assume that it's still working. But anyway, I'll have to get in touch with Miss Jackie and see how old Kiss is doing. We'll
now,
follow up with that.
the adult games on the 412-in-1, we actually have a list on the post for that video. Okay, so we have a video on the 412-in-1.
I didn't realize there were some on there.
There are, and we have it in the post.
Okay.
So if you go to the post, you can see it, but I listed it here for the Headless Horseman.
So can you, block some of those? So
you can.
Okay.
In fact, I have a 412-in-1 at the church, Tim.
Okay.
And so these games have been disabled at the church.
Okay.
So it is a, 400-in-1.
No wonder all the kids like to play it.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. It gets a lot of play up there. They always tell me. But anyway, the adult games on the 412-in-1 board are Block Gal, and I put the numbers here too. The same list again is in the post for the 412-in-1 video. Nunchuckin', Perestroika Girls, QDQ, Playgirls 2, Playgirls, Fantasia, Fantasy 95, Gals Panic, Tim, you're probably familiar with.
Yeah, I remember that one.
New Fantasia, and Supermodels. So if you disable those, you won't have to worry about the adult games on there. So.
Right.
And you can disable them, and we talk about that in the video. You can see that. Tim, that is not your Kiss Pinball machine.
No.
And this video was filmed on location at a customer's house. And we fixed that pinball machine because it wasn't even...
My hair was darker back then.
I see that. So we actually fixed that too because it was not booting up at all.
No.
And it turned out that there was either voltage or ground wire that wasn't making a good connection. We had to actually run a new one.
Yes.
In order to get it up there. So I remember that. It's been a while. But there you go. So Tim, I think that does it for the questions. Let's see. John says, I guess this is for for people who are interested in getting in the hobby. Find people in your area that are into the hobby. That's how I got started in arcade collecting. It'll save time, money, and headache. And here's the deal. If you're having problems finding people in your area, go to a gaming expo. Okay, either a console or an arcade gaming expo, Texas Pinball Festival. We have the Houston Arcade Expo here in town, or here in Texas, Tim.
Right.
If you go to, there's
auctions.
There's expos like that all over the United States. There are auctions, arcade auctions. You will find people around your area to help you out with repairs if you need it. So, Okay. Well, Tim, it's time for your tech tip, and it kind of goes on to this. It's kind of an extension of the video we released this past month.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, we released a new video on repairing broken, cut, or damaged wires, and a lot of people, Tim, may be wondering why. We've been getting a lot of questions about broken, cut, and damaged wires lately, unfortunately, and so people want to know what's the best way to reconnect, and so we shot that video with that in mind, that these are the best ways to reconnect and everything like that. So,
yeah, we said they were the preferred ways we prefer, but they weren't the only ways.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Oh, Robert threw us a couple more, and he says it's 2 a.m. in Sweden.
Okay.
So another donation for Robert. Thank you for that, and no problem, man. Anytime you want to be here, we'll answer your questions, right, Tim?
And when I come to Germany next summer, you can we'll be closer by.
There you go. So anyway, continuing on, repairing broken, cut, or damaged wires. Tim, we talked about 5 methods, but we left out several.
Yeah.
And so some of the people comment on the video.
We even learned a new one.
Exactly. Some of the people comment on the video about some different other methods, Tim, and so we thought we would talk about those and your tech tip for this month. So I'll let you take it from here. Why don't you tell us about what we got here?
Okay, well, there were the ones that we talked about in the video, but here's some new ones. The first one we want to talk about is the lever nut connectors. And I have one in my hand. We'll look at that a little closer. Then you have the quick splice connectors, and then the butt splice connectors.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the lever nut. Now, you've got one in your hand.
Yeah, I'll show you guys what it looks like. I don't know. Let's see how close I can get up here with.
It will autofocus, so.
Oh, I did an auto drop too.
There you go.
It basically has a couple holes right there, and these levers. So what you're going to do is your stripped wire. Those wires are stripped. You're going to push it inside, and close the lever. Then we'll put another wire in here and close the lever there. So it looks like that. Now these two wires are connected. So this would be like one long wire.
Can I get a multimeter real quick? Sorry,
Sure.
guys. We're going to test this. Because now these are also called Wago connectors.
Yeah, some people call them Wagos. Or Wago. W-A-G-O, right?
Right.
And so this is a different kind of connector, but if you're just testing something really quick, you saw how fast I put them in there, close the little lever, and you guys will see real quick if we have continuity here.
Let's see, do we actually have it? Hey, I hear something.
We do. So we're good. So this now is one long wire instead of two shorter wires. So that's one way that you can do it if you want.
Now, what are the benefits? What do you think the benefits of this are, Tim, versus like some of the other methods that
Well,
we
the
talked
benefits are you saw how fast it was, really quick. Now, it is kind of goofy looking. If I had that in my game, I don't know, that it's kind of bulky right here.
We call this like the same thing we talked about with like the what is it, the electrical tape and the wire nut methods. We have a kink in the wire, which we're never a big fan of.
What I see this being great for, let's say we're running a wire up to the game and it's kind of short and we just need a little more length. No pun intended. All those guys would like to have a little more length there. So what you could do then is run an extra length, and it'd be a really quick way to get that wire, let's say, up to your marquee light or something when you need just a little bit more. So that's where I could see this really coming into play. If you want to pop that slide back up there, John, I'll talk about it a little bit. So as you see, the first thing, you just put one wire in. This is actually a 3-wire. The one I had was a 2-wire, but we do have some 3 wires and some multi-wires. So those are kind of neat, 4 and 5 wires. And then when you clamp it down, it will connect to those others. So here's where I could see this. Like you got one over there, John, that has 4 or 5. What if I wanted to run one ground wire and then jumper off that ground wire all of my control panel?
Yeah, let me grab that one real quick. So
So
basically, like if you wanted to run like one ground up, you could put one ground in there and then run like
or
6 or 7.
One 5-volt wire, and then have one going over here to this light, one going to that light, one over here. The problem is you got to make sure whatever goes in is also it's going to all be connected together. So this would be like a multi one. You guys can probably see that pretty good. Anyway, have you guys used these before in the chat room? They're just real simple. You pull the lever up, stick the stripped wire in there, and then you close it down, and it locks in.
That's
and
it.
That's how you can make a good connection. So that's one way. Now we'll go on to the second way. Guys, this one is, you can go ahead and put that slide up there, John.
Okay.
This one is unopened.
Oh, yeah, I might not have opened this.
That's
sorry.
okay. Well, this one is, I hated this method at first. The first time I ever tried this, I think I got it in a kit from Arcade Shop, and I tried it. I think they try to get you to tap into the AC wires for the monitor with these, and I hated it, and it just didn't seem like it didn't work very good. Since then, I have come to where I like them more, and so you can come back to me now. I'll show you. What you do is you put one wire in and then the other wire through, and then you got that metal piece on top. What I found is you use a pair of needle nose pliers and you crimp down on that good, then you close it, and these work really good. So use a pair of needle nose pliers also that when you do them. And then the last method that, well, we're not going to demonstrate for you, but you can show the slide. It's kind of the same way. You put a wire in on one side, you put a wire in on the other side. This kind of reminds me more of like pinball connectors. Then you just kind of push the button. It's like you push it in, and as you push it in, it connects them too.
I think we've talked about this being, we think of them as gel cap connectors, which I
Yes.
put on there. It looks kind of like a gel cap. We don't see them, I don't see them as much as we used to. I see them a lot in phone wiring, but not so much in arcade games.
Right.
So, but I wanted to put it on here because it is a way that you can put it, right? I mean,
Right.
technically.
Now, if guys, and if you haven't seen our video where we don't talk about these methods. We're just throwing these in addition to give you some other ideas. If you haven't seen the heat shrink butt connectors yet, you need to go watch that video. And I'm telling you, John, I had Mike at work. I showed him you don't have to get the soldering iron out. He is doing that all over the game room. Like, every time we got a broken wire, hey, we can use that heat shrink butt connector thing.
Solder and seal,
and
right?
Man, it is just... And
we have a solder and seal. This is actually the wire that we use in the video, and you can see the solder and seal connections right there, Tim.
Yeah.
There's one right there.
Once it makes a connection, it is great.
Now, somebody asked, can we unlock the levers on this?
Yes.
Tim?
Once you put the wire in, you just open the lever, and the wire comes right out. And so we'll open this lever, and that wire comes right out. So now, and you can reuse this. So this is ready to go, and these wires are okay. Just another way, instead of trying to twist them together here and put a wire nut or something on. Just another tool.
I think the
Wago.
Yeah, Wago or Wago.
W-A-G-O.
I think this little 5-port one would be really handy for like ground wires or something like that. You know, where you're going to multiple points. Because then you have 5. You can basically run your one up and then run like 4 separate ones. Out from it. And so like this is the. As you can see here, we'll focus it in. That's the 5 one. And so, yeah, I mean, something like this would be really handy for those control panels. But, yeah,
you can have 1 coming in and 4 going out, something
completely
like that.
Reusable, like we mentioned. Now, Tim, I want to go back to the quick splice real quick that you talked about, the blue little connector. We do actually use that in our video on installing a multi-cade upgrade kit for Pac-Man cabinets. So if you guys have seen that video, we actually use it in that video.
Okay, good.
And so, because that was what shipped with the JAMA boards kit. That would tap
into the AC wire. And are we tying into the AC wires? Right, that's where they use them a lot.
So, but the Wago are really cool. I don't know if I'd use them in a lot of different projects because I still probably prefer to have straight line wire, you know, instead the inline wire instead of like the kink in it. But I mean, these multi ones that have like the 5, 6, 10 levers, 10 seem like they'd be really handy.
We'll use them in a video sometime. And under the control panel, I could see that being really nice.
There you go. So just more methods for repairing broken, cut, or damaged wires.
Like a Molex connector, just different. You know, different way to do it.
Exactly. And if you haven't seen our video, we have 5 different methods in there. Tim, what do we talk about? We talk about the heat, in order, electrical tape,
right?
Wire nuts, and then butt connectors, and then heat shrink solder,
right?
And then the heat shrink butt connector or the solder and seal method. The solder and seal by far is our favorite.
Yeah,
I mean,
and the more I use it, the more I really like it because I don't get out of soldering iron. I just go grab the heat gun, put it on there. I'm getting fast at it.
Yeah, and it doesn't take. Cool. I mean, you got to crank up the heat on your heat gun pretty good. That's the key.
Leave it there longer than you would just on a heat shrink.
Right, but it's pretty neat. So if you haven't seen the video, definitely check it out. But thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Tim, for the tip this month, and for doing the video on repairing broken, cut, or damaged wires. I'm hoping we can have a new video this coming month, but I don't know how much time I'm going to have. So we'll just say maybe.
We got some in the queue.
That's right, exactly. We got some coming up.
If you haven't went and subscribed to our YouTube channel, you really should do that.
Yeah, if you're just watching this and you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe. We'll have more videos coming up soon. Okay, Tim, well, it's time to go to our discussion and news portion of the show tonight. And the first question, or first story we have here, Tim, got a lot of feedback on Facebook about this.
Okay.
Dad gets toddler to climb inside prize machine, steal Nintendo consoles. And this is from Kotaku. A Massachusetts middle school teacher has been arrested in New Hampshire after sending his daughter inside a barber cut-like cabinet where she was able to retrieve some of the prizes, including a Nintendo Switch and 3DS, before they left the scene. The man has been charged with theft, criminal trespassing, and endangering the welfare of a child. He has been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of an investigation, Tim. Now, I think it's interesting that's a middle school teacher.
Yes.
Of all things. But have you seen the video? Because there's a video of this with this toddler going in the machine, dropping the prizes, and coming out. Tim, as a parent, I mean, my heart sank. I was like, come on, like, what are you teaching your kid here? Really?
Right.
I mean, but I thought it was very interesting that they figured out a way, though, around the system.
Yeah.
So there you go. But, Tim, I thought that we would do something a little bit different with our debate topic tonight and just kind of play, maybe a little devil's advocate.
Yes.
Okay? And you notice this guy's being brought up on charges of theft.
Right.
Okay, he was arrested.
Okay.
And there's going to be an investigation. But, Tim, if they go by that video, he's dead to rights, right? Because the video is there. But, Tim, there were a lot of people on Facebook that said that he should be able to keep the prizes. Okay. And that he figured out a way around the system.
Okay.
So the question is, the debate for tonight is, should it be considered theft if people retrieve items out of redemption machines without playing for them.
Okay.
Okay. So should it be considered theft if people can retrieve the items out of the redemption machines without playing them?
Okay.
Okay. So that's where we are tonight, Tim, and boom. Hey, there we go. Okay, so are you ready for this debate here?
I think so.
Okay, don't tell me what you're taking yet. We're going to do a reset, and then we're going to get to this, okay?
All right.
So here we go. Well, guys, we want to thank you for coming to the arcade debate segment for tonight. And Tim, tonight, as you may know, there was a story about a man who trained his toddler to go into a redemption machine, retrieve the prizes, and then jump out. And that man has been arrested for theft, pending an investigation along with other things. So, Tim, I thought we would play a little devil's advocate here tonight and decide, should it be considered theft if people can retrieve the items or prizes out of redemption machines without playing the machines themselves, Tim? And the reason why this came up is because there's a lot of people on our Facebook page who thinks it should not be theft. And so, with that in mind, Tim, what do you think? Should it be considered theft?
Well, as an FEC manager, I'm going to have to say that is definitely theft and he should go to jail.
Okay, well, I'm going to take the Facebook side of this
Okay.
and some of the people that we had, and I'm going to say that this should not be considered theft, and I will let you start with your point first. Go ahead, sir.
Well, number one, he didn't pay for the games. It's not like he paid and it was stuck or something like that. He flat out didn't pay a dime. And so thereby, and not only that, the guy used his child and put the child in danger. What if she would have got hurt or something and they would have been liable or whatever? There has to be something to make it where it can't happen. But at the same time, I mean, if you don't pay for something and you're taking it, that's stealing.
Okay, well, let me take this side of things, Tim. I don't agree with him using the kid, but let's just say somebody was able to retrieve a prize out of a redemption machine on their own without endangering any children, okay? Let's say that for a second. We all know redemption machines are a ripoff, okay? They are a ripoff. They are designed to take your money, okay? The way I see it, this man found a way around the system. Okay, so basically he found a way to get the prize out without having to spend the money and without being ripped off. Shouldn't he receive some sort of credit for that? That's all I'm saying.
No, he is no less a thief than somebody to go to Walmart and just get inside the case there. You say, well, the case was unlocked. They don't have a right to just go in. You can't just go in and take stuff that don't belong to you or that you don't pay for. It's real simple.
But isn't the onus on the operator too? Shouldn't the operator not keep prizes inside? A lot of people said that these mall redemption machines have a coupon inside that say go to a place in the mall to redeem your prize. Isn't the onus on the operator to make sure that his games aren't broken into? Many people on our Facebook page also mentioned that these games have settings that will disable basically the prize door from opening if a prize has not been dropped. And so shouldn't the operator have researched this, have done all this before just putting a game out there?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just saying, doesn't that at least give the guy a little bit of standing to go ahead and get the prizes out of it?
Yeah, the owner should have hooked up the 12 volts and put a metal plate in there, and every time he stuck his hand in there, he should have got a shock, and his kid's hair should be sticking up. But no, of course, I think the owner does have to take a little bit of responsibility, and number one, you shouldn't put real prizes in the game. It should be boxes or something. But at the same time, it's still a game to play and not for somebody to break in and steal. That's just like theft to your house or breaking in anywhere else. I still see it as theft. No matter how you slice it, the owner should do some things that should help prevent that or to not encourage that, I should say. It's kind of like leaving a $100 bill on your porch step and saying, well, this neighbor come by and stole it. But if you had not enticed them, I think most people wouldn't do that. So I'll agree there is some responsibility on the owner's part, but still stealing is stealing. The owner did not realize that it was probably even possible. And the guy definitely was taking advantage of it and advantage of his poor kid.
Well, and like I said, I don't agree with the kid part, Tim. He should definitely be brought up on charges of child endangerment. There's no doubt in my mind. But he did figure out a way around the system, Tim. I don't know about you, but every time I play a redemption machine, I feel like I'm getting ripped off. It's like you guys are literally ripping the money out of my pocket. So with that in mind, I think in a way it's okay, maybe even justified for somebody who can figure out a way without endangering their child of getting the prizes out of a machine to say, maybe, hey, I can do it. Let's do it.
Well, that's like saying giving the counterfeiter the job with the government to catch other people. I mean, he's still breaking the law. And I agree, you don't have to throw the book at him or anything like that. But as long as they return the prizes and, they give him a fine or something, I'm okay with that. I don't think he should be thrown under the jail for this. But at the same time, it is a crime to take stuff that doesn't belong to you. And also, he's teaching, especially as a middle school student, he's teaching his students that this kind of behavior is okay. If you don't like the odds, or if you don't like, just like going to Vegas, there's a reason that Vegas is open, because most people lose. So, but if you don't like the odds and you don't want to take the risk, then don't play it at all.
I understand, but I still say there's a little bit of onus on the operator to make sure that these things are operating in a manner to where this can't happen. Okay, if it can happen, then I feel like maybe that this guy has a point and he's justified in doing it. But the operator should make sure that the prize doors don't open unless a prize is dispensed. You can't open a prize door, and make sure that when there is a big prize that's gotten, there's a coupon inside. You have to redeem it at a counter or with an actual person to make sure you actually get the item. Right. So that's all I'm saying. Anything else, Tim? Well, last word.
There's a prize counter and there's a cut-through door. Do I have to make sure that that's sealed and locked? Because somebody could just go around there and get a prize. They know better, though. They know the counter is there for a reason, that you win prizes. You don't just take prizes. You're just a thief, and he should be punished for this.
Well, we'll leave it at that, Tim, and we'll let the people decide. What do you guys think? Please let us know. If you guys are watching this on Twitter or Facebook, please comment or send us a message back and let us know what you think. And Tim, we'll find out what happens with this guy once all of the evidence has been looked over and he's had a trial. So there you go. Thank you guys for joining us tonight for the Arcade Debate. We look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Okay, Tim. I think we're done.
That was an interesting one, because I don't think either one of us wanted your side.
No, I didn't. But the people on Facebook, they like that side. I thought it was interesting, and I'm going to read some of the Facebook comments here in a second. And like I said, me and Tim have talked about this. We don't necessarily agree with whatever side we take. We just like taking opposite sides because it's more entertaining that way. So let us go on here. Let's see. And it says, the claw. Ooh, it's theft. Thief. Of course, it's theft. He didn't play the game. Not to say he is a teacher, but he just taught the kids it's okay to steal. Tim, it looks like everybody took your side. I feel totally out of it
because they're the cream of the crop.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the Facebook people are just.
You get a lot of trash. I mean, we just get a lot of weirdos on Facebook sometimes.
Okay, so here's some of the stuff that we got.
Let's see what the Facebook
says.
So
Aldo said the man found a way to rip off the rip-off machines. Let him have his stuff.
Okay.
So there you go. Dan said, might be the only way to have a fair chance at those machines. Look at that.
It's called a skill machine. You have
skill. Is there skill to it, though? There is to a certain extent.
You're better than I am.
I am, but
my daughter's awesome at it.
But I'm still the guy who's going to wait for somebody to play it like 85 times before I play it. Right. You know what I'm saying? We got to rack those plays up.
That's how you do it in Vegas.
That's right. Daniel says he's probably sick of getting ripped off, so it's time for some payback, Tim. Okay. There you go. You see, I told you, they agree with me. Let's see. David says, well, whoever's in charge of that machine is dumb. Okay, we have them in our mall, but attached is a box. It says it's empty, and you must bring the box and the card with the code on the backside to the mall office to claim the prize. Carl says ours too. Those machines are too easy a target if you keep the high dollar prizes in there. Also means that you can generally get better deals on prizes as stuff gets cheaper over time, or they get the latest iPad instead of the one that's been hanging for 2 years. And so, by doing it with a code and a redemption at a counter at the mall, then you can give them newer prizes. You don't just have the same old prizes sitting in there. Aaron says, our machine has the ability to lock the outer door except for set amounts of time after a payout and keep closed a secondary inner door as well that opens for 30 seconds or something minimal during the payout. Ours is that drop the hook game. Not sure if this one had all those controls, but it's kind of the fault of the operator if the doors are swinging open all the time in the thing.
Okay.
That was my point.
All right.
See, I told you, they all agree with me.
No, there's some good points. There's some valid points. Right. But at the same time,
I agree it's theft too.
It just seems like it's theft.
But there's people on Facebook who apparently think it's okay. Whatever it is. So. Zach says, I agree with Tim. It's dangerous for the child. Sounds like there's a design flaw, or maybe the owner didn't install the piece that blocks the children from crawling in there.
It's kind of like the beer truck that runs off on the highway and
topples over.
It's not just free beer. You can't just go over there and start grabbing all you want,
Now, I saw Stone Cold Steve Austin drive a beer truck into a stadium one time.
Well, okay. Well, maybe a good point. So
There you go.
there's always an opposite side.
Exactly. But, Tim, as you can see, I thought it was interesting that most of our social media people took kind of that opposite side.
Yeah, interesting that they were all young.
Yeah, probably. So.
This generation of
There you
people.
go.
We'll blame them. Us old school gamers.
Bunch of thieves.
Yeah, get off my lawn.
There you go. Okay, well, Tim, earlier in the show we were talking about ROM hacking, and bootlegs and stuff like that. Well, Tim, there was an article that got a lot of traction on our Facebook page, and it was "This Bootleg Game Changed Street Fighter History," and again from Kotaku. The author of the article talks about how he came across Street Fighter II Rainbow Edition cabinet at an arcade in Japan. It's probably the most famous of all the bootleg versions created around this time. Features include faster gameplay, mid-air fireballs, and randomly changing computer components. Tim, Rainbow Edition is kind of the whole onus behind Street Fighter II Turbo.
Right.
Okay, because the thing that Rainbow did was it sped up the gameplay much faster than what it was normally. And so that was one of the things a lot of people liked. So Capcom released Street Fighter II Turbo in response to this Rainbow Edition hack that a lot of operators kind of came in contact with. Did you ever play a Rainbow Edition?
I've never seen a Rainbow Edition.
I have a story about Rainbow Edition.
Okay, well, let's
so do you know where Jimmy John's is here?
Yes.
Okay, it's in the Green Acre Shopping Center parking lot area.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what used to be there before that?
Don't remember.
Blockbuster Video.
Okay, yes.
Do you know what used to be there before that?
No.
Okay, a 2-day video.
Okay.
That Blockbuster bought out. The 2-day video had an arcade inside.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and so there was all the video rental, and when Blockbuster bought it, it became an office. But when 2-Day Video owned it, it was an arcade. Okay. And one of the only Street Fighter cabinet they had in there was Street Fighter II Rainbow Edition. Wow. It was the first time I'd ever seen anything like it. And the mid-air fireballs, the randomly changing characters. I mean, it was something, it blew my mind.
Wow.
I'd never seen anything like that before when I was a kid. So
cool.
2-Day Video. And we didn't go there very often because we lived in White House, which is about 30 minutes away from that. Right. Really, I mean, but
you didn't have a car back in those days.
Exactly, I didn't have a car back then. But I remember we would go there every so often because it was cheaper than Blockbuster a lot of times. And so when we did go, we would go and we'd play in that arcade. And that was the first time I ever saw Street Fighter Rainbow Edition. And like I said, it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So if you have a memory of Rainbow Edition, I'd love to know. You can play it in MAME now, Tim. The ROMs have been dumped.
Oh, nice.
But all it was for operators, all I had to do was pop off 2 chips and then pop on 2 more. Okay. That was it. And they could get Rainbow Edition. And so it was an easy hack. It wasn't anything, And there was a company, some company out of Japan that made the chips. Oh, neat. So, I mean, there you go. But it's a cool version of Street Fighter. It's totally broken, Tim. Totally broken. I mean, it's faster. It's got, random characters just popping up everywhere. And you can throw a million fireballs and, they all stay on the screen, But it was fun because it was different, right?
Oh, cool.
And so there you go. But there we go. Let's go. So if you have any memories of Rainbow Edition, I'd love to hear those. I have my memory, but if you have any other memories of Rainbow Edition, I'd like to hear them.
So if I run across the board, you would be interested, huh?
I mean, you can make a Street Fighter Rainbow Edition pretty easily. Like I said, it's really just 2 chips, so I don't know if I'd be interested per se. I have a Turbo over there, just a standard Turbo, and I'm happy with it. So, let's see. Oh, there you go. If a trailer full of games tipped over, it'd be free games, Tim.
Not if it's your game, right?
Exactly. That's from Zachary there. There you go. Right. You're using the beer. There you go. I think the games is an apt analogy. I would...
It'd be a trailer full of parts, probably.
Danny says, I agree with Tim, like your shirt. So, thank you for my shirt. I can't remember. I bought this off one of those websites. It's got a guy. It's got, a guy throwing a fireball through the other guy. I think that's Ken. So there you go. Let's see. Running a cabinet with Rainbow Edition PC inside a business. Is that even legal? Well, I mean, it was kind of questionable at the time. I mean, that's Rainbow Edition's one of the reasons why.
I guess you had to have the original board.
You still had to have the original board.
It's a modded version.
Right, it's a modded version. So it was really just a chip. Right, exactly. So it's just a modified version. But Tim, this is one of the reasons why Capcom went with the encryption on the CPS2 boards. Oh. Was to stop people from creating ROM hacks and bootlegs.
Well, now we know.
Yeah, exactly. So that was part of it. But yes, it is legal. You could run it. I mean, there's nothing illegal about it because, like you said, it's just a modification of what you already have.
That's cool.
So, okay, Tim, and I think this story got a lot of traction too. You may have seen it. The PlayStation Classic, Tim.
Right.
So they are following Nintendo's lead as another manufacturer who manufactures consoles to make a classic version of one of their consoles, the PlayStation PlayStation Classic. Comes with 20 games. Tim, it's going to be $100 on December 3rd. Pre-orders are already out. I don't know if they're sold out, but we had pre-orders. Not that long ago, you could get one.
Right,
it's gonna
but you don't know all 20 games, right?
Correct. We only know 5 of them right now, and that's Final Fantasy 7, Jumping Flash, Ridge Racer Type 4, Tekken 3, and Wild Arms. Comes with 2 controllers, but does not include the USB power adapter. You have to buy that separately. Now,
That's
Tim,
crazy.
I don't know how familiar you are with PlayStation games, but there's probably one game on there you're pretty familiar with, Tekken 3.
Yeah, Tekken.
And the one thing about PlayStation hardware is that it was used in a lot of arcade games that
Right.
people may not realize. The Tekken franchise is just an example of that. The Street Fighter EX games, Tim, ran on like modified PlayStation hardware. There's a lot of games that kind of ran on that modified PlayStation hardware. So when they came home, like Tekken 1, for instance, when Tekken 1 came home, it looked just as good as the arcade.
Right.
I mean, you couldn't even tell the difference between the two. Ridge Racer 2, when Ridge Racer came to the PlayStation, it looked just as good as the arcade version. And so that's the one thing I remember about the PlayStation 1, Tim, was that there were a lot of arcade games that were very, very good equivalents on the home console.
Right.
I mean, Tekken 1, like I said, looked almost identical. And I do have a story about the PlayStation. When it was first released, my parents rented a PlayStation 1 console with Tekken 1.
Oh, wow.
And during Christmas. And we played it all Christmas. Like, we rented that thing for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Nice.
But, I mean, I wasn't going to buy one at the time. It was way too expensive. My parents wouldn't have bought me one. But they rented one from the local rental store. They would actually rent them. So, but I remember when it first came out, I remember playing those games and some great games. And, Tim, we actually had a thing where people listed what other games they'd like to see on. And there are a lot of people who listed different games and stuff. You guys can go to the Facebook page for that. But, I was trying to think back to all the arcade type ports and stuff, and it had like X-Men vs. Street Fighter on it. A lot of the Versus series games were on it. Marvel vs. Capcom was on the PlayStation 10. NBA Showtime, NFL Blitz got PlayStation versions. Mortal Kombat 3. I remember my next door neighbor. They ended up getting a PlayStation when it was first released, and Mortal Kombat 3 was one of the first games they had for it. And so, a lot of great arcade titles, Tim, coming home. But that was really the first time we saw the console games look just as good as the arcade games.
I believe that's right.
Yeah, and that's really when we started to see kind of that shift, I think. So, but I don't know if I'm excited about it. I'm holding out for the other 15 games. I want to know what they are before I buy one. $100 is kind of pricey to me.
And what do you think about that? Not releasing them all? Are they taking votes? I mean, what?
Maybe they're trying to figure out like what they can get the license for, whatever the case may be. So I mean,
crazy.
I don't know, but let's see what else we have here. Let's take a vote. Would you rather see a PS1 Mini or a Nintendo 64 Mini? Probably a Nintendo. I don't know. Maybe a Nintendo 64 Mini.
Yeah, 64 Mini.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great Nintendo 64 games, but there's a lot of great PlayStation games too. I think people discount how many good PlayStation 1 games are out there. Tony Hawk Pro Skater is one of my favorite games, Tim. I love that thing, and that was something I played first on PlayStation, so good stuff. But anyway, if you guys are interested in that, it will be coming out December 3rd. We'll have actual stock. The pre-orders may be sold out at this point, Tim, but you can, I think you'll be able to get them on release day. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know if it's going to be as demanding as what we've seen with like the NES Classic, the Super NES Classic, or anything like that. So. Okay, Tim. Well, that does it for the discussion questions, but we do have a couple of announcements here, Tim, that we want to wrap up with. And the first one is that we will be at the Houston Arcade Expo 2018.
Yes.
New hotel this time.
That's right.
Do you know that?
Yes.
Yes.
Marriott West Chase.
Yes, exactly. So, October 19th and 20th, Tim, at the Houston Marriott West Chase Hotel in Houston, Texas. Visit arcadecenter.com for more information. Tim, there'll be over 300 games on free play.
Okay.
I put 200, but I've heard now 300. So, we've updated it by 100. A single day ticket's $30 in advance, $35 at the door. Weekend tickets are $40 in advance, $45 at the door. Our seminar, Tim, is Saturday, October 20th at 12 noon. Okay. We are not going to be giving out food. So eat early and then come to the seminar, okay? That's what we want you to do. We will be there, and Eric will be there, which I think he was in the chat room. He may have already left. But if Eric's here, thanks for joining us, Eric, tonight, and we look forward to seeing you at the Houston Arcade Expo. And Tim, I got a box of free stuff down there. We're bringing with us giveaways, so we always have giveaways. So if you ever come to one of our seminars, we do give away stuff, so it's a great opportunity. And Tim, if there's only 5 people there, everybody's gonna get something.
Right.
So I mean, make sure you come. We're not giving away food. We don't have that kind of budget, unfortunately. Right. We're not Jersey Jack or Stern or anything like that. BYOF. That's right. Bring your own food, but you can eat in the seminar. We're okay with that. Bring your food with you. I mean, as long as they're letting food in that area, you guys can eat there. So there you go. But again, guys, that's going to be October 19th and 20th at the Marriott West Chase Hotel in Houston, Texas. ArcadeCenter.com for more information and to get your tickets. Tim, I think today may be the last day, or yesterday, one or the other. I think today. Today's the last day to get your advance tickets.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you want to buy the tickets in advance, you need to buy them tonight.
Okay.
So there you go. Okay, what else we got here? Oh, a reminder. We want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're always looking for people to submit short videos about arcade-related topics. Send us a link to your video at questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Our staff will review it, and if we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure you put in a plug for your channel so people will know where to find you. We look forward to seeing your submissions. Tim, we haven't had any submissions in a while.
Right.
But we're always open to those submissions, and we always want to remind people.
keep that reminder out
Exactly.
there.
We want to keep that reminder out there that if you guys are interested in having an arcade-related channel and want some free advertising for it here on Arcade Repair Tips, just send us a link to your video and let us know. And then, Tim, just another reminder here that our next live show will be the 7th. The 7th.
Right.
The second Thursday
Monday,
of the month, because we're going to be
busy.
We're going to be tired from Halloween.
Right.
I'll say tired.
I'll
Is
be
tired
eating
okay?
candy.
That's right, exactly. We will be tired from Halloween night.
I'll probably be working.
Right. So we're going to do the second Thursday. And like we mentioned, Tim will be into his gig at Mr. Getty's at that point. So I will have even more details about that from you guys. So that'll be good. Okay, is there anything else? I think we just have the contact information. But before we go into the contact information, I'm just going to take this moment to reiterate the news we announced at the top of the show and say congratulations once again, Tim, for your new position with Mr. Gaddy's after 17 years of service to Chuck E. Cheese.
Thank you very much.
So
And
for those of you guys who might have missed it, Tim made the big announcement at the beginning of the show. Make sure you go back and watch the beginning of the show for all of the information about what's going on. We had a lot of great questions, too, about that, Tim, that I think a lot of people will find fascinating. So, but after 17 years at Chuck E. Cheese, you're now with Mr. Gaddy's, and we wish you the best of luck going forward. Arcade Repair Tips will continue to do the same thing we always have done, same live shows and everything, but we may be doing videos on location. Which would be nice at Mr. Gaddy's. So it would be fun. But anyway. Well, Tim, let's go ahead and do our contact information here. We have our email address, questions@arcaderepairtips.com, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. If you put live show in the subject, we will make sure it gets on the show. That's a great way to do that. Or we'll try to answer you in a timely fashion when we can. Again, send your questions to questions@arcaderepairtips.com. We have a YouTube page, which you are currently on right now, and that's at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Comments from the last live show will be covered on the next episode, which we talked about, Tim, at the beginning as well. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. We love to keep you posted as new videos come around. So, and then we also want to remind people that we have our question and answer podcast, Tim, and you can email Eric and Rusty at podcast@arcaderepairtips.com, podcast@arcaderepairtips.com. Those questions will go to Eric and Rusty, and they will answer them on the next question and answer podcast, which, Tim, I don't know when they're planning to do one next, but we'll find out, I'm sure, probably at the Hag, if it's not before. So, but you guys can subscribe to the question and answer podcast on iTunes at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com or stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com. Both are fantastic ways to listen to that show. Tim, Eric, and Rusty do a fantastic job. I want to thank them for all the efforts that they put forth with the Question and Answer podcast. And then, Tim, we have our social media pages that Louie and Mark do a fantastic job of keeping updated. And Louie was here in the chat room. We want to thank him for being here and moderating some of the comments tonight, because I saw he had to moderate a couple of them.
Yeah.
So thank you, Louie, for that. And, guys, you guys can see all of the goings-on on our Facebook page at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com, or you can follow us on Twitter at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. Tim, we pretty much post the same stuff on both, so you don't have to necessarily be on both. If you're just a Twitter guy, go to Twitter. If you're just a Facebook guy, go to Facebook. But you can do both, too. That's a good way to do it as well. Well, Tim, that's about it for this section. Now, we have an after show coming up. Tim, do you want to enlighten us with any of the things we'll be talking about in the after show?
Well, we'll be updating about some stocks. We'll talk a little bit about that.
So the after show is the part of the show where we don't talk about arcade-related things.
We just talk about whatever.
Exactly.
And the football season has started. We might mention some of that. And as always, we'll be talking about some shows that we've been tuning into.
There you go. So there's a little sell for the, or what is it, foreshadowing for the live show, I guess is a good way to say it. But at this point, I guess we're going to go ahead and sign off with the normal live show. Again, we want to thank everybody who is in the live chat with us tonight. Thank everybody who's watching this after the fact as well. And continue to tune in for even more great arcade repair-related content in the future. Tim, is there anything else that you'd like to say before we sign off?
Just want to thank the active chat room tonight. And for those of you who donated, we really do appreciate it. It does help, and every little bit counts and helps. So thank you very much. But thank you guys just for participating and being active. We had a lot of questions and a lot of chat tonight, which just makes it fun to do it live. Keep asking questions and keep fixing games and keep tuning in. Thank you.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Remember, first Thursday of every month, except next month.
Right.
Second Thursday of the month next month, so make sure you tune in on the 7th of November at 5:30 Central Time. We'll be right back here with you, answering more of your arcade repair-related questions. Till then, Tim, remember here at Arcade Repair Tips, when we fix the game, we play the game. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you in the after show, or good night.
Good night. Oh, the chat room picked up.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
They'll still ring.
And we're back. So, Tim, how do you think the live show went?
Well, you know, the chat room was so active, we took a lot more questions, it seemed like, from there this time. So I hope that it didn't go too long, but we did enjoy it.
It's always fun.
It was fun.
Now, I don't know if people noticed, but we got a new camera.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if it's better
and
or
I
worse.
noticed that it would focus and kind of go in and out. I don't know what they saw. Yeah, I
Right,
wonder what it
exactly.
looked like. So if you're in the chat room still, what did you think about the new camera? And how did that work tonight? Please let us know.
Yeah, this camera is one of the ones that's recommended for streamers, I guess you could say. So, I mean, we got something that's a little bit better quality than what we had before. Yeah, and that's what it's the after show in there. But, Tim, today was a busy day for me. I actually got to stay home with my kids today because we had babysitter conflicts. And so I actually stayed home from work, got to hang out with them. So I've been home all day, and then you came over, and then we had the show. So I feel more tired than if I went to work. You know, just funny. But
well, keeping kids is work.
Yeah, I asked my daughter. She was looking through the window because I know she wants to play the Wii U. We've been playing Super Mario 3D World, and I know she wants to play. And I asked her if she wanted to come in and join us, and she just said no. Okay. So she won't be here tonight, unfortunately. But we've got us now. It looks like Robert has to go to sleep. Considering he's in Sweden, I think we'll let him go to sleep. So night, Robert.
So.
Thanks for joining us. You can watch this after the fact. Okay.
I don't know if you've watched this before, Robert. I don't recognize your name, but anyway, thank you for coming and join us again.
And for the donations, we always appreciate those.
Thank you.
So there you go. But Tim, here's where we're going to talk about some things that you've been investing in. So we have our $10. I think last time you said that it was in some sort of cannabis stock.
Yeah, we had it in a kind of a ETF type, and of course. It became legal in Canada. Well, it does become legal in the middle of the month.
Right.
So right now it's kind of pushing. It's kind of going up and down, pushing, but every time a little bit higher. It pulls back, goes a little bit higher, pulls back. So I would say we're at about $12 now.
There you go.
Or $10, but it was down to $9, and you know it kind of
fluctuation
springs around.
Now, something I put on here, Tim, was the CBD infused drinks. It seems like stocks that are surrounding the CBD fad or phenomenon, whichever one you want to call it, have been really starting to go up lately.
You know, for people like me that probably take 2 Aleve almost every day, you know, CBD oil, if you're not familiar, is made from cannabis, but it doesn't have THC in it. So I'm not going to give you a high or anything, but it's used for pain relief, especially in joints and stuff. Now, I really have heard some great things about it, and some people that testified I know one lady is just that I know personally has just done miracles for her. She had a stroke, and she's talking better and a lot more like her old self. I can't believe how much she's improved since taking it. So with that being said, there's a company that we've invested in before, and they are infusing that into an energy drink. So can you imagine a drink that gives you energy, but also helps with joint pain and stuff? So
Sure.
For an old guy like me, that sounds like a great dream come true. And it's legal in all 50 states. So you'll see that more coming out. And Coca-Cola is interested in buying at least some type of that. So one of their potential buyouts could be from Coca-Cola.
There you go. So that seems to be a hot commodity right now.
It really is.
So
And those types of things that are made from hemp are doing more than just recreational marijuana.
Right.
So people do foresee a lot of use for it, that it's not just getting high and having fun.
Sure.
So those type of stocks are really doing good right now. If you haven't done any investing, you might look into some of those.
There you go. Any other stock tips, Tim? Now, Louis did say it was a bit out of focus, maybe a little too much light. We can turn off the autofocus, but we left it on for this one.
Okay.
So, I mean, we may end up turning that off just to play with it a little bit if it was too out of focus, but we can set a focus, because Tim, it's not like we move in and out. So
right.
If we set the focus, it'll probably be better. But that focus is if
Auto.
we put our hands in front of it or whatever, it may jack it up a little bit. Right, exactly.
You.
It's going to jack up that focus just a little bit. So we may end up modifying that just a bit in order to. And it could be that our pole where the microphone is may be a little out of whack too. It may be hitting that as it comes in, whatever.
Right. Well, we talked about other stocks. Oil is at an all-time, not all-time high, the highest since 2014, which pulls a lot of those energy and oil type stocks. I have some ETFs that are doing really well right now in that. But, one of the slowest times of the year, they say, is September. And so now I'm waiting on stocks. I've noticed there's a few picking up. And I've also been trading options, which is basically you're placing a bet that whether a stock will go up or down. If they have bad news, you're going to bet that I bet it's going to go down. Or if they got some good news coming out, and the longer that time frame, the less it costs. But if you cash out, it works good. You do good. So
right.
I've had some real luck with that. So still, we do enjoy the stocks that we invest in, and have had some luck and have had some failures. So always invest with caution. There's good long-term stocks. Good to have 401k. It's good to have all that. But we do enjoy our penny stocks. And so if you haven't got our Robinhood yet or Webull, and you want us to send you a link,
well, there is a link right down in the description for the video.
So please
one for me and one for Tim. If you sign up with those links, you'll get a free stock, and one of us will get a free stock.
Right.
We're all about that. So you could get Facebook, Tim.
You
could get Amazon.
You could, and I actually have seen people do that. It's not a joke. They do that. So
that's like getting if you got Amazon, it's like getting a free $1,500 bill.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
for signing up, and you really don't even have to spend anything. You just have to sign up.
That's right. So it's a win-win situation, and Robinhood is a great platform. It's completely free, Tim, to trade on, which is what's great about it. So completely free to trade on if you guys want to, and like I said, they'll start you out with one free stock. You can buy more going from there.
You can also we don't mention this a lot. You can also buy small shares of like Bitcoin.
Yes, exactly. So you can buy cryptocurrency.
You can buy $20 worth of Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin goes up, your money goes up just like anything else. Mm-hmm. You don't have to spend $6,500 to get a Bitcoin. You can buy $20 worth.
Exactly. So there you go. Anyway, so we do highly recommend Robinhood. If you guys want to sign up for Robinhood, make sure you use one of the links down below in the video description so you guys can do it. Tim, I have stocks. I was trying to think of something I bought stock in recently. I'd have to probably check my phone. But
I know you and Mike are killing it with the WWE. If I would have bought that
in January.
That is crazy.
But Mike has like major money.
Yeah, he has some good money in
it. I don't have that much money.
Yeah, okay.
I've got 2 shares.
Mike's got retirement money in there.
Yeah, exactly. I've got like 2 shares.
Wow,
so,
okay.
That's all I got. But that 2 shares went from $35 to $90.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Because of the $1 billion thing they did with Fox, the $1 billion.
Right.
And that's what's driven all of it.
If you ever hear of a stock use the B word,
Yeah.
It's going up.
Exactly.
It's
and
going
so,
up.
I mean, ever
People
since
like the B word.
Well, that's the thing. Fox basically gave them $1 billion for the rights to SmackDown.
Wow.
And that's a lot of money.
It is, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't care how you slice it. Now, I will say that I was looking at the ratings for Monday Night Raw, and they've actually been the lowest that they've ever been. But they're still pulling down like 2.3 million people. It's still a lot of people watching your show.
It is.
But it's still lower. It's the lowest it's ever been right
okay.
now. So, I mean, wrestling's kind of at a lull right now. And, I mean, there can be a number of factors to that. You just never know, Tim. But the stock itself is still going up because they're still profitable. Even though they don't have as many people watching, they're still profitable.
Making money.
So, exactly. That's what matters. So, I bought Nintendo stock, Tim. It's been performing okay. It's made about $2 or $3 more than when I bought it. So, I mean, Nintendo's been doing pretty well.
And you can buy Nintendo on Robinhood now?
Yes, you can. I was trying to think of what else. I bought Nissan on Robinhood because that's another one that's now open. It's actually gone down a little bit because they had the recall, Tim. I don't know if you heard about that. They had to recall some vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I mean, stuff like that happens. That's what causes, you know, news causes stocks to go up and go down, or big major players causes stocks to go up and down. So, but did you see that Jeff Bezos is now the richest American in the world?
I did not see that.
He has double the net worth of Warren Buffett.
Wow.
So Warren Buffett has think about that. Double.
Right.
And almost double Bill Gates.
Yeah. Warren Buffett, the guy who has 48 million shares or something like that of Apple.
Yes.
That goes for $200 a share.
Not only that, he owns Geico. Berkshire Hathaway owns Geico and all those different businesses.
You ever want to have some fun? Look up Berkshire Hathaway stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. There you go. But he owns, I mean, they own Geico, Dairy Queen, Justin Boots. What else do they own?
Oh, wow.
C's Candies.
Crazy.
I mean, like, he owns a ton of stuff. So, Nebraska Furniture Mart.
He owns us all and we don't even know it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He owns a ton of corporations. But my boss is a big Warren Buffett fan. But Jeff Bezos has now got double the net worth.
That's crazy.
And he's number 3 on the list. Like, Warren Buffett's number 3.
Right.
And Jeff Bezos is number 1. Think about that. That's a big gap between the two.
That's a lot of...
So, still, they both have B's. Like you were talking about.
It's all about the
multiple B's. So there you go. A lot of money. But, you know, I mean, when you have a major player like that, when he's investing in something, he causes it to go up or down, right?
That's true.
But he also owns Duracell. That's another company he owns. I mean, we're talking about a ton of companies that are owned by the Berkshire Hathaway Investment Group, whatever you want to call it. So, but anyway, but Jeff Bezos is now the richest American in the world. Congratulations, Jeff Bezos. You get a lot of my money all the time. So, so there you go. I am paying for his mansions and whatever else he has. So. Okay, Tim, well, you mentioned football. You want to talk some football? Apparently, the Patriots are up 7-0. I don't know if they're still up, but that's what Louis, last update. Thank you for the update, Louis, on the score. We need to know that. So apparently the Patriots are winning right now, but they have not been doing good this season, Tim.
They have not.
Detroit beat them.
Yes.
So.
And Dallas beat Detroit.
Exactly.
But it's close.
It was close.
Really close.
So.
And the Cowboys, we don't know who's going to show up.
That's right.
Right. We don't know which. You know?
I like to say I don't know which coaches are going to show up because it's really more about the play calling than anything to me, I feel like.
It's been a little sporadic.
Yeah. Now, Tim, you know, we had our arcade debate segment earlier.
Yes.
Well, we're also going to be adversaries this Saturday.
That's right.
So,
we draw the line.
That's right, exactly.
One Saturday a month.
That's right. So, Texas OU, this is a big game. I'm a Texas fan. Tim's an OU fan. We both enjoy watching some college football, and Tim, we started off really bad, okay, but we have made up for it. I'm just saying. You start off a little rusty, I would say. Just got new coach, new era. And look, Maryland had something to play for. Okay?
Oklahoma started off like world champions, beating out like they were going to beat Alabama, and they have kind of slid back a little. Well, they had a good week last week.
Right.
Kyler Murray had 6 touchdowns total, or 7 touchdowns total.
But you struggled against Army, like you mentioned too. So.
But you know, but maybe Army's a lot better than we give them credit for too. Sure. They were 3-1 or something like that. So I mean, they're not a bad team. So we do like college football, and I've been pretty impressed with my alma mater, ULM. Actually, is having a pretty good season.
Now they played a big team.
They played A&M.
I was gonna say they played A&M.
And pretty tough.
Yeah.
Louisiana Tech played LSU and almost upset them.
Yeah, that was close.
So they're
LSU's not. I don't think they're that great though.
You know, they're to me a little overrated. Sorry if you're a Tiger fan. I think they are.
In the past, they've been good. I mean, I'm not saying they
beat Auburn, but you know, they just their defense is awesome.
Yeah.
But Alabama could beat about half the pro teams. I believe.
Oh, absolutely. They're awesome.
The Browns and Alabama play. That would be one heck of a game.
Yeah.
But
Browns are good though.
Yeah, and what do you? So, how much credit do you give to Baker Mayfield? What do you think?
I think Baker Mayfield makes a difference.
Leadership.
Yep.
He's just that guy, and that's what a lot of people in Oklahoma liked about him. He's good.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is. I think he's better than people give him credit for. But something about him, he must be fun in that huddle, and he must do a good job. He seems like they just elevate, and good leadership on him. So,
but speaking of college quarterbacks turned pro, there's only one name that really comes to mind right now, and that's Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that guy is awesome.
And if y'all don't know, Jonathan went to White House High School, which is Patrick Mahomes'
alma
mater, and he's right here from where we are. So we have been following him for a while. And but goodness gracious,
awesome,
he is tearing it up.
In college, I think we saw some glimpses. But man, this is like different level.
If you had to pick two teams to be in the Super Bowl, I'm looking at the Chiefs and the Rams.
Yes, absolutely. Chiefs and the Rams right now. I'm calling it. Rams look like world beaters.
They do.
And Jared Goff, I don't think of him as a great quarterback.
Oh man,
but man,
he's on my fantasy team and he's rocking.
He is really playing well.
How's your fantasy team doing?
I'm 1-3.
I
played all the hard teams up front.
I'm 2-2, but last week my team scored 178 points in our league, and what usually wins a game is about 100 points. 178 points. Everybody on my team did good. Even my kicker got like 11 points or something. I'm like, what the heck? But Jared Goff was my quarterback, so we had a good week last week.
I've got Kirk Cousins, and he's like feast or famine.
He is very streaky.
I mean, and I feel like Minnesota's a good team. Minnesota is a decent team this year, but he's very, the Bills, for goodness sake, put the hurt on him.
Right. Just kind of like Ryan Fitzpatrick. Everybody knew that bubble was going to burst, and it burst, seemed like pretty quick. But anyway, we know everybody's from all over the country. How's your team doing? And, it's fun to root and cheer for teams. Any surprises that this year? I think Miami's been a lot better than I thought they would be.
Houston's terrible.
And
we're playing. The Cowboys are playing them.
Surprisingly, I thought Houston would be better than that.
Yeah. Let's see.
The Saints can't play defense, but dang, they got a good offense.
Oh my god! Yeah.
So
their offense is incredible. Golly.
Have you seen the guy play for Seattle that doesn't have a hand?
No, I have not.
You know, the guy that was drafted, he doesn't have a hand. I wonder how he's doing. We don't ever see the Seattle games unless they're playing Dallas.
Unless they're playing us, right?
And I didn't see him play much in that game, so him and his brother play for them.
Trying to think, Buffalo's pretty terrible, even though they won against Minnesota.
Yeah, Jets don't look too good.
Yeah, Jets look pretty bad. Giants look pretty bad.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, mediocre probably. I mean, they could still make a run for it. I still think they're dangerous.
I wouldn't put it past them. But you got them against the Packers or them. The Packers are.
But Packers are hurt right now. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is hurt.
They got a lot of hurt players.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But I'm also the Falcons haven't done as good as I thought. They were kind of a little better than they've been playing. Maybe they'll start coming on strong. And the Bears are doing pretty good.
Yeah, Bears are good.
The Bears are doing okay. Maybe have a quarterback now. So anyway, we enjoy football season, guys. We loved from high school to the pros. So tell us about your teams and how they're doing. Pittsburgh's having a weird year.
Roethlisberger's just not the same guy.
I don't know.
He's just, and the thing about it is that without Le'Veon Bell,
yeah,
I mean, I think that's really hurting him. And he's holding out on contract negotiations, which I think is stupid.
Right.
But I mean, I understand to a certain extent. But look, you're still under contract to play. I think what's his name for the Seahawks did is Earl Thomas. I think that's more how you handle it.
Right.
You don't show up for practice. You don't show up during the week, but you show up for every game.
Right.
And that's what he did. He ended up getting hurt though, and I didn't like the way he flipped off the sidelines. Did you see that when he got injured?
Yeah.
I mean, I did not like that.
Yeah, me either.
If he wouldn't have done that, but he was doing the right thing, I think, by saying, "Look, I'm not going to practice, but I'm going to play every game because I'm under contract to play every game."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, but he ended up getting hurt, and it looks like it's going to be season-ending for him. And he ended up flipping off the side because he wanted that contract extension or something like, and they're not going to give it to him. So
yeah, he kind of hurt his own self there.
Right, and the NFL doesn't have guaranteed contracts like a lot of other sports, and I really think that hurts in a way because then he's not going to get paid as much as he normally would because of his injury. You know what I'm saying? Whereas in baseball, guys injured, he still gets the money.
Right.
So I mean, and speaking of baseball, we were watching the Milwaukee and Rockies game.
Yeah, I don't know what the score is.
Yeah, the Brewers and the Rockies game.
That game's
probably over now, and we're probably into the Dodgers and Atlanta, right?
Okay.
Dodgers and Atlanta, that's who's playing. So, which is on MLB Network tonight. So if you have an MLB Network, yeah, you kind of have luck.
Speaking of which, Jonathan, I was watching, and you have some new. I've had to figure out your TV there for a minute. What I know you've cut the cord. So what system were we watching?
We use PlayStation View.
PlayStation View.
Yeah,
huh?
so PlayStation View, and we talked about this a little bit last time. But PlayStation View is it's just like Sling or anything else.
Okay.
And here's the deal, though. You don't need a PlayStation to use it.
Right.
But everybody thinks you do because
Right.
it's called PlayStation View. I wish they would have just named it Sony View. But the nice thing about PlayStation View, Tim, is it's the only cord-cutting, like kind of, what do you call it, over-the-top live TV service that has MLB Network.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Sling doesn't have MLB Network.
Right, no.
You see, none of the rest of them do, but PlayStation View does.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why I have PlayStation View. In their $50 package, you get NBA Network, NFL Network, and MLB Network.
Oh, nice.
So you get all the major sports networks, which is nice. So, and they just picked up Channel 7 for locals and Channel 19 for locals.
Oh.
So you have both those locals here.
Well, that's nice.
And they have locals all over the country. You guys
I
can
need
put
to
your
check
zip
into
codes.
that.
Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive than Sling, but you have unlimited DVR with it, so you can record whatever. If you tell it to record Major League Baseball, it will literally record every Major League Baseball game.
Wow.
If you tell it to record NFL football, it will record every NFL football game. It
That's
keeps them for
pretty neat.
30 days. So
Pretty neat.
I like PlayStation View a lot. And like I said, you don't have to have a PlayStation to use it, but that's our cord cutting service that we use. You use Sling, right?
Yes.
So the only thing I don't like about PlayStation View is it doesn't have the Viacom channels. So it doesn't have MTV, VH1, Nickelodeon, Nick Jr., CMT, whatever those Viacom channels are. It doesn't have any of those. Right, Sling doesn't either? No, Sling has Nickelodeon, I know.
Yeah, maybe
And it
and
has
Disney.
and I know it has those channels. But PlayStation View doesn't have those channels, so I ended up doing like a trial with Philo, which is another over-the-top service. But with Philo, you get 40 channels for $16 a month.
Okay, wow.
Okay, but there's no sports in it.
Okay.
That's the catch. So
Okay.
like with my PlayStation View, I'm paying $50, but I get like every college football game imaginable. I get like 10 channels of ESPN college games.
Right.
You know, but with Philo you get none of that.
Wow.
But it's $16.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So I mean, you don't get so like my wife, that'd be fine for her if I wasn't around because she doesn't watch any sports, right?
Right.
So, but the reason we did that was because my daughter wanted to watch a Thomas the Train movie that was only available on Nickelodeon. So we signed up for a 7-day free trial of Philo. We liked it, but we ended up canceling it after the 7 days.
Okay.
And I may reinstate at some point, but I just don't see the point of having both of them right now.
Right. If you're trying to cut the cord, you're
trying
trying
to cut the
save
cost,
money,
too,
not
right.
Yeah, not
Having both those would still be cheaper, but it wouldn't be enough cheaper.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the nice thing about PlayStation View and all the over-the-tops, Tim, is you can watch them on any screen that you log into, which is always the thing I like about them. Whereas
cool.
with cable, you always had to have a box everywhere, right? And that's what I like about this. Like, PlayStation View has an app for every device imaginable. So anyway,
so phones,
so if you're
tablets,
yeah, exactly. The Amazon box, the Roku boxes, whatever you got. So, but anyway, if you guys are cutting the cord, please let us know if you guys have already cut the cord, which service you use. Tim, you use Sling, I use PlayStation View. There's also Fubo TV.
Yeah.
There's DirecTV Now, which is the DirecTV package. So there's a lot of different ones out there now. I did want to talk about some of the things I bought, Tim. I bought another part of my Halloween costume. I'm gonna be Mario for Halloween, and I bought the little cappy, which is the little cap with the eyes on it from Mario Odyssey. And then I also bought some Drop Mix packs because Target had them on sale. Tim, have you played Drop Mix?
No.
Okay, so Drop Mix is a board game that mixes music. Okay, so each one of these cards does something in the game, and you'll see this is the pop set here. And so the pop set here, you'll see cards, you'll see this Call Me Maybe here, but it has like this on it. That means this is the drums from Call Me Maybe. This is the guitar from I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. So what you do is you put these cards down the board and it mixes the music like that.
Oh.
So you can take the vocals from one song, like I Want You Back by the Jackson 5, with the piano from Sia's Chandelier, and then you can combine that with the guitar from Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive.
Okay.
So that's the way it plays.
Crazy.
You take the individual parts, and then it mixes a new song for you.
Okay.
Basically.
How do you play it?
Well, you get points for like the matches that you make. It has a game element to it, and it has a mixing element to it too. This is the country pack. So you'll see I say country. Yeah, it's country. Every Rose Has Its Thorn is in here, though, by Poison. There's Carrie Underwood, Blown Away, Big and Rich, Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, all that kind of stuff. So you play the cards. These are card packs for that. And, Tim, I really haven't gotten into it too much, but I'm hoping to spend more time on it here in the near future, maybe around Thanksgiving or something like that. But you can see all the cards and the songs and everything like that. Drop Mix is a really cool game, though. And, unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be discontinued. So, so if you haven't played it, it's going to be like Rock Band. It's made by the same people who made Rock Band.
I see.
So, I mean...
But how do you play them?
There's a board, and I have the board. You play the cards on the board, and the board recognizes which cards you lay down.
Oh, okay.
So, which is pretty cool.
You'll have to show me sometime.
Yeah, we'll have to do it sometime. So, okay, TV show and movie talk. So if you guys are watching any TV shows or movies, let me know. Tim, let's start with you. What are you watching? Or what have you watched?
Well, I finished up season 2 of Iron Fist. I see that's one of the things you watched.
I did. What'd you think?
I loved it. It was good.
It was way better than the first season.
Yeah,
way better. Yeah.
It really got good.
Did you watch to the end of the very last episode?
Yes.
Okay, and you saw the Daredevil trailer?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Daredevil season 3 is going to be out here before our next live show.
Right.
So if you guys want to watch Daredevil season 3, and there's already 3 or 4 trailers out now. But
I don't listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff, but my son does, and he asked me, he said, do you know who Joe Rogan is? And I'm like, yeah. And he said, you ever listen to his podcast? I said, the guy from Fear Factor? And he's like, what's Fear Factor? And I was like, show me his picture. I'm like, yeah, that's the guy from Fear Factor. He was interviewing a guy who had...
Elon Musk?
No. He was interviewing a guy that had been in prison. And when it started hearing the story, I said, oh, wait, there's a Netflix show about that. So I went and watched it. It's called The Fear of 13.
Okay.
And if you haven't seen, if you like, it's just a docudrama about a guy who goes to prison. And he's on death row for 21 years. And he finally, DNA evidence proves him wrong. Basically, and this is not a spoiler or anything, basically, he, after all these years, appeals keep getting denied. He tells he's just so tired of being in prison, being on death row. He writes a judge and says, "Execute me."
Wow. And
the judge is like, and that you can do that, and it speeds it up.
Right.
And the judge is like,
request for a speedy,
it's like
lethal injection or whatever.
Exactly. And the judge is like, why? He's like, well, y'all never will review my DNA and all this. I'd just rather be dead. I'm just tired of this. And the judge says, well, before we do that, let's do the DNA stuff, and it proves him innocent.
Wow.
And he gets out after 21 years, and he looks like Kevin Bacon with no hair. And he says, the reason why it's called The Fear of 13 is when you hear him talk, he's very articulate and uses really big words, and he sounds really smart. It's because he had a huge stuttering problem, and he would go into prison with all those 21 years and sit there and taught himself how to read big words, how to pronounce them properly, and he would just say the same word over and over for hours or days until he got it right. He quit stuttering and taught himself, and then he began to read books, read thousands books, become very smart. And when you hear him talk, he sounds very smart, sounds very intellectual, and he doesn't hold any grudges. He just wanted to be out. He was just like, I'm just glad to be alive and be out. He has a really positive outlook. So the Fear of 13, because he uses the word that's the Fear of 13, he can say it, and it's really long.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, that's what that word means, the Fear of 13. I'm not afraid of 13, but some people are, and they have phobia. So watch the Fear of 13. I've also Wentworth, which we talked about before. I told you if you like Orange is the New Black, it's more of a realistic prison show. It's out of Australia, and they released, I believe, season 6 on Netflix. I've really been watching it and kind of getting into that. What about you?
So I watched 2 movies, and that's very rare for me. I rarely ever. I'm lucky if I get to watch one. But I watched Tag. Have you heard of Tag?
Tag is a true story.
It's a true story about these guys who
play a game
who have played tag for like 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Together.
Right.
And I thought, man, this movie sounds stupid.
Right.
And it was very good.
Right.
Like, it was very good. I mean, it was well done. It was stupid, but the thing about it is that they realized that the tag, it was keeping them together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was keeping them friends because they still saw each other. And it was only during the month of May. It's the only time that they played tag, okay? And so, like, whoever's it last during the month of May, I mean, they go to elaborate, you know, like, depths to do this. They will dress up as like a janitor in like a guy's office building so they can tag him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like they go to super elaborate depths in order to make the tags happen.
That's funny.
Right.
I want to see it.
Which is what makes it good. And it's got a lot of great actors in it. And so a lot of guys that you find funny. The guy who played Hawkeye in the Avengers series, he's like one of the main characters. I can't think of the guy. One of the guys was in The Office. I mean, you'll recognize all of them. I mean, you know, like I said, I recognize all the actors. But Tag was very funny, and I recommend it if you're just looking for some silly, fun, just kind of a fun movie. If you're just looking for a fun movie. Then I watched I Feel Pretty. With my wife. This is the one with what's her name? You know, it's kind of like Shallow Hal. Okay.
Oh yeah.
What's her name?
It's like
Amy.
Shallow
Is
Hal.
it Amy?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but so she, she doesn't have very good self-esteem. She's trying to lose weight. She wishes she was pretty. She gets bonked on the head, and all of a sudden, she thinks she's pretty. Like she looks down and she thinks she's thin and everything.
In real life,
she's still the same.
Still the same.
Right, exactly. And so,
but her confidence level is up.
Right, her confidence level's up, and so she, she meets a guy, and they start dating, and like all this stuff starts happening to her that never would have happened.
Right.
But it wasn't because she looked any different.
It's because she had confidence. And...
Exactly, and so she ends up bonking her head again, and she thinks she's fat again. She never really changed. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So kind of like
good chick flick.
Good chick flick.
The wife would love it, I'm sure.
Exactly. If you're gonna watch it with, I wouldn't have watched it without her.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I watched it with her.
But good movie with your significant other and spend some time.
Right. So I watched Jack Ryan too.
Okay.
Did you watch Jack Ryan?
No, I have not seen it. I do have Prime.
You should watch it.
I have not watched it.
Okay, so here's Jack Ryan. Our episode, right?
Right.
45 minutes. Explain. 15 minutes, most action ever.
Right. Wow.
45 minutes. Explain. 15 minutes, most action ever. I mean, that is the pattern. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I guess that's how Tom Clancy novels are. Like, there's all this exposition. Like, we have to get to a part to make it to where they're fighting.
Okay.
Now, it gets better as the show goes on. Like, the episodes get to where they're more action-packed. But, like, the first, 4 episodes are literally, like, 45 minutes of just, like, storytelling.
Wow.
And then a 15-minute, like I said, just hit you in the face action scene.
Okay, so we got to watch Jack Ryan then.
So, I mean, but you may fall asleep. If you're watching it late at night, you may fall asleep during the exposition.
It's
right, exactly. Just remember there's action at the end. But John Krasinski does a great job. And I call him Jim because I still think of him as Jim from The Office.
Right.
But he does a great job in it. And it's very short. I mean, it's not very long. I think it's like 8 episodes or something like that. It's less than 10. So you can watch it, and you don't have to worry about spending a whole lot of time on it. It's good. Now, Tim, we mentioned Daredevil Season 3, but something you may not realize that's coming to Netflix before we meet next time is Making a Murderer Season 2. I
have been seeing that. In fact, I got it, notify me, because we really liked that. That was a good show.
Making a Murderer was fantastic.
And I want to see the season.
So if
have you heard anything? What do you think the Season 2 is it going to expose or
I
tell?
have no idea.
There's
so that's
no
what
spoilers,
I'm curious
man.
about. Exactly. I'm curious. I'm purposely trying to stay away from spoilers. You know what I'm saying? So now, Tim, I've got a couple to watch on my queue, and one of them is Ant-Man and Wasp, which just came out on demand.
Okay.
And the other one is Solo. I didn't see Solo at the theater, so I still want to see Solo. And I do want to see the new Mission Impossible too at some point. So those are ones I have to watch, but I have not watched. So there you go. But that's kind of what I got. Well, Tim, I think we're done with the outline. You got anything else you want to say? Let me ask you this:
checking my fantasy team. I'm doing horrible.
Well, can I ask you something kind of personal?
Yes, you may.
Are you sad about the Chuck E. Cheese thing? I mean, 17 years is a long time to be anywhere.
There's mixed emotions. And I say this with all honesty, it's not the Chuck E. Cheese I went to work for.
Sure.
We talked about it before getting
bought
out by
a lot of different buyouts since you've been there.
And some of that's been good, and some of it I haven't really agreed with or liked. I'm kind of old school on some stuff. There's very mixed emotions. The day I was just the send button on sending my resignation was one of the hardest things it seemed like I had to do. And then it's you can get a little bit of comfort level I know what to do. I know kind of what to expect. I may not like everything, but at least I know what to expect. Now I'm going into a world where I have no idea. I'll make,
Similar but different.
and I'm going to make more money, which is always good. Everybody wants to provide better for their family, but I'm also, when you figure out how many hours I'm going to work, I'm probably making less an hour. So it's like,
right.
it's just you have to. There was a lot of prayers, thoughts. It wasn't a quick decision. Was over several months of just talking and with Lamar and trying to figure out if this was the right move for me. And the weirdest thing, John, that was I kind of looked for jobs or put in an application or kept my resume out there. I actually had another job offer this week.
Oh, wow.
And it was in the middle. And that way even threw a kink in the wrench. But it was a non-supervisor position, and it was more of a tech job. And and it had better hours, and it was really tough. Then I'm like, oh, man, but there's something about me, John. I think I bleed pizza sauce. I do love the pizza. I love the FEC, and I like the FEC a little better than just Chuck E. Cheese, which is always catered towards kids. And I love kids and all that, but as I get older, I don't have as much tolerance as I had with them. It's very noisy. There's a lot of stuff that, and some of the corporate type rules. It was better for me, I thought, to go with a franchise route because there's a lot more leeway, if I'm making sense. So, in the end, I can't imagine driving by Chuck E. Cheese and not,
not knowing what's going on.
Not wanting to go in there.
Right.
I went to Longview for the last time today and gave them my keys. And it was just really, really strange. So there's these moments of sad and fear, but then there's also this eagerness and anticipation about the new job and what it's going to look like and all these cool games and people having a good time and, so, yeah, very mixed emotions. Very, very mixed. And it was hard. It was a real hard decision. And to be honest, if I would have pressed, Chucky still may come back with an offer to counter what I got. And I just don't know that, it just there's just seasons of your life where it's time to move on. It was tough when I left Brookshire's, but, and went to Chuck E. Cheese. I didn't know, I was really kind of, I knew how to fix some games, but I knew it's a lot more than fixing games.
Sure.
And so a learning curve was there too. I don't regret it, and I'm sure that, I hope that this will be the last job I ever have.
Well, and like I said, I've never worked anywhere as long as you've worked at Chuck E. Cheese. In the time you've worked at Chuck E. Cheese, I've had like 10 jobs, I feel like. I did, the last job I left, I had been there 5 years. And the day I turned in my 2-week notice, man, I was pretty emotional. And then the last day, I was pretty emotional. And because I think the thing, and like you mentioned, it's never like the task or what you're doing. It's always the people. And, and it's kind of like you realize, I think, as you go on, like, especially on your last day, you realize, I've been interacting with these people, for 5 years or however long you've been interacting with them. And I'm not on a daily basis, and I'm not going to be around those people anymore.
Right. I think the one thing that is helping, and one of them's coming with me.
Yeah, so, exactly.
And it's like, 'cause she's like a sister to me, and I'm probably like her big brother. So the fact that I'll have a familiar face.
Right.
I know, and I think we make a great team. We're going to be a good team together. That helps a little bit. And but all the just the tech meetings and going to California and the traveling that I got to do over the last couple of years has really made it a special, and the learning, all the stuff, all these videos that we've shared, it's because I learned a lot of it while I was on the job, and every time I'd learn something, like, Jonathan, I learned how to do this, let's shoot a video on it, or today we did this, we got an LCD monitor for the first time. Right. Oh my gosh, have you ever seen one before?
Right.
Have you ever seen a liquid crystal display? It's like, really, over 17 years, you think about how far technology has come.
There weren't iPhones when you started.
No, and I might have had a cell phone, but it was pretty. I don't even think you could text on it. I remember I had a Razor for a long time. So,
now, when I started working at Best Buy, we had one. This was 2001, so this is about the time that you started, or a little bit after you started Chuck E. Cheese. When I started working there in sales, they we had one flat screen in the whole building. It was a plasma that cost $15,000.
Yeah, a
So,
lot of big projection TVs. And
right,
stuff.
exactly. Projection TVs were still the thing, and I know that you've had a lot of projection TVs over the years.
Yeah, I remember walking into Chuck E. Cheese on my first day, and you know what the game was right in the front, and I thought
Wave Runner?
No, well, there was a Wave Runner.
I remember Wave Runner.
But right over to the left of it was a Star Wars trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, they're going to pay me to play that every day. I'm like, yes.
And that had a projection screen in it?
Yeah, I was just like, yes, I'm get to play Star Wars trilogy every day and skee balls. And I just...
Some things don't change. Skee ball's been the same.
I really thought that this was like the coolest job ever. And you know, it was fun when Connor was little. And, you know, he always wanted to come up there and to be, you know, for a while I was the coolest dad ever. And then later on he would come to work for us. And now he's a tech in Colorado and stuff. And, you know, so, and then I look at the guys that I took that didn't even hardly know what any tool was. And, you know, at one time, John, I think I had 5 guys that were techs.
Right.
That came up under me that went on to have my job or higher. And so, you know, I just thought, wow, that's pretty... I leave something there. People always remember that guy in Tyler or something, you know, and I hope that I keep a good relationship with them. I hope they don't see me leaving for a competitor, because I really don't see us as competition. We focus on 2 age groups. But at the same time, I hope that I keep a relationship, a good relationship with them, and that I always... I have lots of memorabilia. Still have a Chuck E. Easy Bake Oven. You know, merch that tokens I've collected over the years and stuff like that. So I carry a bag of memories, and it is going to be hard to say goodbye. But really, I'm not saying goodbye. I'm just moving to a different location, and still, you know. But you know, but then to be honest, and I know we're live and everybody can hear this. You know, I hope that that if somebody buys them, they do really consider going back to some of those old ways, you know, and some of the pizza time theater and the fun stuff, focusing on that and the birthday parties and stuff. I don't want them to get too far away from that. So I would really like it. And who knows, you know, 5-10 years down the road, you never know what could come along and stuff. But I hope that I'm Mr. Gaddy's until I retire or get rich playing stocks or something, you know, or on my own one day, who knows. So, you know, I don't like changing jobs. I like stability. I like stuff, and I'm loyal to the people I hang out with. So I don't want to talk bad. I hope that they do good. I hope they prosper just as we're prospering. I hope that, you know, kids from years to come go there. But yeah, it'll be hard. The last couple days. Yeah, 2 weeks notice wasn't just for them. It's for me. I need to process and get my gears ready and change, you know, and realize. But then there's also this weight that's lifted off. You kind of feel like, oh man, I don't want to deal with ticket machines anymore. I don't want to deal with ticket munchers, and the show, as much as I talked about the animation was cool, was also a lot of work, and you know, it's kind of noisy, and having a person that kid check all the time, or having somebody you got to go bribe them, you know, to get them to go get in a costume, you know, I don't have to do all that anymore. I think there's some, you know, so there's always those pros and cons. But in the end, like you said, it's really the people. You know, some of the people that I first started with were some of the guys that started. I mean, Nolan Bushnell started Chuck E. Cheese.
Right.
Think about that. Some of the guys I worked under worked with him and worked for Atari and places like that.
But they're long gone now, right?
All of them are gone by these days. And at my age, some of them most of them are dead. I don't know. But at the same time, I remember the stories that people used to tell, and you know, when we would go, and some of the bosses and stuff. They're just it was just a fun time. It was a good time, great learning experience.
Well, I know you're gonna miss it to a certain extent, but I know you're also gonna I think you're gonna like Mr. Gaddy's a whole lot more. I mean, just from the time that I've spent in Mr. Gaddy's, I think that it's more. It plays more to the kind of stuff that you're interested in. Whereas Chuck E. Cheese is definitely more. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the kids stuff, but
no,
it's definitely more.
It's kind of like growing up and changing jobs and going from high school to college. You miss high school, but you're in a college area, and that's kind of how I feel. I'm graduated high school or elementary school. I'm going on to something else, and it's a stepping up, not really stepping out or anything. So.
And Michael says congratulations. We got another congratulations.
Thank you, Michael.
We got quite a few tonight, but
somebody's still watching.
Yeah, somebody's still watching.
And that's the way most people have taken it, that it was a promotion. It was, and I'm not just the tech guy. In fact, the guy was interviewing the people that were the people that he talked to and interviewed. One of the questions was, can he do more than just fix stuff? Because everybody knows me as I can fix stuff. And that's what everybody said. No, he can do it. And I always felt like that there was more in me than just being a repair guy.
Right. But part of the thing is that I think you always want to move up in Chuck E. Cheese, but that would require you moving.
Right.
Whereas this doesn't sound like it's going to require you to move.
No, I can stay right where I'm at.
Right.
And even if we expand, I probably will still be able to live here, and I like it here. So
exactly.
It's a good move for me. And even if my assistant stays at Chuck E. Cheese, I'm leaving it in good hands. He's more than capable, very deserving. He knows way more on day one than I did on day one, way more. And so I hope that they promote him. I hope they give him a big fat raise. And I hope that he has 17 years or longer than like I did.
There you go.
And so, those are some, it's good when you can leave it in good hands. In fact, he's probably more organized and does some things better than me. So when he gets the other stuff as good as me, he'll eventually be better than me. And that's when you've worked with somebody and you've trained them and you've sowed time into them. I've always wanted to be that guy. When somebody look on me one day and say, I learned a lot because of him, or I am who I am because of this guy. So I want to be that guy. And so, I get to train new people now in different things. I get to make really good pizza and,
train people how to make pizza and fix games.
And fix, yeah, all in one. And the person I'm taking with me, she can do it all. So,
Russell said he just tuned in. What he missed? I don't know, just like 3 hours worth of stuff. I mean, it's nothing important. Let's boil it all down. Tim no longer works at Chuck E. Cheese. And at least for the next 2 weeks, and he's going to work for Mr. Gaddy's. And then we answered a whole bunch of questions. There's a whole live chat thing that went on. We had a debate. There was a news segment, and that was about it.
Yeah. And we've been rambling now for about the last 10 minutes.
That's right, exactly.
And there's still people tuning in. So thanks everybody for watching. I think it is probably time to shut it down.
I think so.
Kind of like I've always thought this day would come. When I went to Chuck E. Cheese, I literally thought I'd be there 6 months or a year.
Sure.
I thought, I'll find something else. I needed a job. I was laid off. I needed a place to work. And so for a while, it was just a job, but it was a fun job. And I eventually grew to like it and began to do my best to become the best tech that I could possibly be. And I think overall I accomplished that. I think that, I don't think that if every tech could do or did their job like me, I think Chucky would be very happy. And but I always, one of the things I did every day was every day I walk out of the game room, I'd say, is the game room in better shape today than it was yesterday? And not every day, but most days I could say, yes, I did something to, whether it be improve, put new decals on a game, fix a game, clean a game, whatever it was, I always wanted to say, is it better today than it was yesterday? Well, over 17 years is definitely a lot better than the day I started.
There you go. Well, Tim, like I said, we wish you best of luck at Mr. Gaddy's, and hey, you no longer work for a big rat, so I mean that's always good too. No, but I mean, look, we still go to Chuck E. Cheese. I mean, I'm still gonna take my daughter there because she's still big, and when my kids get older, maybe we'll start going to Mr. Gaddy's instead.
That would be the weirdest thing to go to Chuck E. Cheese and have to pay for something.
Yeah, you never.
That would be weird.
You've never had to pay.
That would be so weird. And
that was a freaking awesome recap. You see, I told you I had it all in there.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, I mean, I think so. So we're going to sign off here. I think this is a good point to sign off. Tim, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Guys, we'll see you on November 7th. Remember, we're going to do the second Thursday next month, so make sure you tune in November 7th, 5:30 Central Time. Okay, we will see you again, and thank you guys for joining us on the live show. Good night, and we'll see you next month.
Good night, everybody.
We're out.
Bye.
Bye.